It was, uh, it was funny. Yesterday, I went to a meetup that was a all women's meetup, but I knew one of the gals, and she granted me a one-time dude pass.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I remember. I think I remember seeing something about that last time we talked, or last time you were here. But that's cool that they let you in, let you hear the
Yeah, I know.
secrets.
I just put my hair down, and then yeah, they were laughing.
Just yeah, just stand backwards. You're okay.
Yes, yeah, yeah. No dress on, but that's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it
that's
was a really cool speaker, and everyone was super friendly, and like because it was like almost all women, they're really open about like they're like kind of like the more emotional side of that, and like what their thought process was, and like still like long term thinking, and like yes numbers, and yes going over certain properties, but I think everybody's really just like allowing each other to be more in a vulnerable state to just like talk about their feelings about that. And I was like, wow, I've like never experienced that before. So that was really cool.
yeah, and it's pretty cool that you mentioned that because uh, I think even in this group, that's not something that we shouldn't talk about, right?
Hmm.
Because some people are going through some hard stuff, and this has always been, well, I hope it people feel like it's always been a safe place to talk about stuff because even though these are recorded and they're going to go on to the school platform and they go on my channel, um, the whole community is pretty,
Yeah.
I don't know, they're really protective, they're not going to, I don't know, criticize or anything like that. So there never is any dumb question or anything like that. Um, and if it ever got to that point, we'd stop it right away. Or.
Yeah. It definitely seems like, yeah, you would, nobody in this group would tolerate shit like that, you know? So
Right.
that's cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just a different perspective. And I know that, yeah, this is totally like a safe place to be open about those, like, whatever thoughts are going through your head. But yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, it's even we were talking about I've been talking to a couple of people that have gotten interested in the St. Louis market because of the things I'm saying and because we're investing there. And uh, um, I would like everybody if they were going to try a market like St. Louis, because we always talk about following somebody who's doing it successfully, right? And I want to make sure we're going to have two vacant units in the next couple of weeks. We already have one that we just closed on. Our Section 8 tenants moving out of one of our other units. So what I was telling another friend here, that I want to get new tenants placed so we can show you exactly what rents we're getting,
Yeah.
because things might change, and maybe we're going to get lower rents than we're thinking or than we analyzed with. So I'll be upfront with everybody. So that way you guys can make better decisions for yourselves. But, um, and I feel safe talking that way too, and not embarrassed if not that I would have blown it, but just that the situation didn't come out as good as we had hoped,
Yeah.
So and we're always wanting to share that information with you guys. So and I guess by doing that, I hope it's an example for everybody that they know they can talk about stuff that goes wrong too, because that's important. Um, Dion and the guys always tell us the truth, good, bad, and ugly, and that helps us make decisions moving forward for ourselves, and that's super valuable, I think.
Yeah, totally. And having this community be an extension of that mindset, it's yeah, just everyone is open to that truth, you know, like you can share like the first 5 years are gonna suck, and that's perfectly fine.
Hmm.
It's funny, I was actually talking to Peter. I was like, my Peter's my brother, and he's like kind of interested in real estate stuff. Like he does eventually want to do it, but he lives in Watsonville. I was like, oh man, like I just met this guy, Frank. Like he's from Wattsville, and like I was like trying to talk to him about like out of state stuff because you're doing that. And he's like, yeah, like he just doesn't know about it. He hasn't educated himself on it. But maybe he'll like with me talking about it enough, he might get in contact with you. I'm not sure, but
Yeah, Yeah, I think about that too. I was talking to another contractor friend of mine today, and I've been, you know, not trying to force him into real estate, but just putting the bug in his ear because just today he was here at my place and we were talking about, I don't know, he brought up the fact that he's hoping to invest some money he has to get a better return on it because and it was around $25,000 and he said last month he got like $1.40 in interest, right? And so I was telling him, we have the same amount in a high yield savings account and we get whatever it was, 30 or
Or
$40, right?
yeah.
So and he couldn't believe that. And financial literacy is something I've talked about in my videos and stuff because it's really helped us. And now he's looking into it, right? He's going to research some of the online savings sites and things like that for himself. I don't ever want to sell things or feel like I'm selling things. Um, but I would have been thankful, if when somebody brought that to my attention, because I never knew about high yield savings accounts either. Maybe just in these last 4 years did I realize it was a thing. And even though your money's not keeping up with inflation, at least it's a lot better return than having it in a regular checking or savings, right?
Yeah, 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 totally. Yeah, I sometimes feel that whenever I talk about it, I feel like it's a religion. I'm like passing somebody onto it. I'm like, okay, I
Exactly.
need to I need to cool it a little bit sometimes. Just because we all know the information that we gather all the time, but
Right.
some people have all those obstacles that are still in their way mentally, and yeah, I definitely I'm learning to like filter what I say to who.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Yeah. You have to. And like I said, with this guy, I've been feeding him a little bit of information over the last, well, probably 3 years now, and he's coming around because he's still young and he's really working hard at his business and having some frustration with that. So, and we're at the stage now where I'm trying to kind of hopefully shut my business down in the next couple of years. And so hopefully him watching me do that will help him get a little more motivated to get something going for his future, his retirement too.
yeah.
Um,
He sees the end goal from you. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, I wonder, I'm not sure. I know we had planned for Alexandra to join us from Hemling. We'll wait a little bit longer, but since you guys are all here, is there anybody that has anything they're dealing with this week that they wanted to bring up? Any questions for anybody else in the group?
I have a just sort of a general question that I asked Dion last night in his thing, but I just wanted to get a whole bunch of answers so I can kind of average them together.
Yeah.
Um, so at what point uh does impatience balance with like maybe I need to find a different buy box? So it's like so you have your criteria for house and the numbers have to work and all of that stays the same. And then for me, I'm looking at my local market and it's like, okay, well, I'm doing the steps, but after doing it for a little while, it's like, okay, am I being impatient and I haven't found anything yet? Or do I need to look at a new market? So at what point would like it be reasonable to say, oh, this probably isn't working in this market. I should probably look elsewhere as opposed to I'm just impatient and have the bug and want to buy something now.
Mhm.
All right. I'll take this one because I've already switched markets and have acutely felt that pain. So, a couple of questions for you, Michael. Have you established your buy box to where, uh, using Zuber's listings, I'll say collective, generically speaking, rather, where you've got, somewhere between 20 and 40 listings or somewhere in that neighborhood where it's a manageable enough number where, in about 20, 30 minutes, you can look through your entire market to kind of say, hey, here's what's in my market. Here's what I'm seeing change on a day-to-day basis.
Yes and no. So I've got like the serious buy box, which is the stuff that's like over 30 days, and then stuff that I stuff that I realistically think I could maybe get a disrespectful offer accepted on, and then I've got like the new stuff so that I can kind of just see, okay, what's going on in the market that's outside my buy box kind of situated.
Okay, and you've whether it's been at least, but bare minimum 60 days, but have you at least looked at that market for the last 3 months, roughly 90 days or so, do you think?
No, I think it's somewhere between 60 and 90, and that's kind of where I was like, okay, is this me being impatient, or is this me realistically needing to look elsewhere?
Okay. All right. So you're ready for these next couple of questions. First is, how many changes have you noticed over that period in terms of properties that have come on and come off within that buy box?
I've noticed it's about the same week. I think Zuber first said he thinks this is a buyer's market, that is, as far as stuff that I could realistically put an offer in, maybe about 20 or 30% less started popping up. And as far as like the general market, just seeing what's out there, it slowed down maybe 10-20%. But as far as like stuff hanging on the market, it still seems to be, if it's like a class B, I don't think I have any class A's in my area, but any like class B, and most of class C's still go pretty quick, it seems like.
Okay. And presumably, now, of course, no, I'd imagine you, of course, already know your area average for both. Now, without knowing whether or not you're, in Lumberjack's course or not, do you also track rents in addition to tracking the properties in your market?
I don't necessarily track it, but I can usually eyeball it and say that's probably going to be about X amount of rent. Just looking at the house, I can kind of tell what it would probably go about for.
Okay. So the only reason why I was bringing that part up is uh, in terms of, one, the number of offers that you've already made, whether they be regular, disrespectful, anything in between. And then two, if you've made offers that have been rejected, for lack of a better phrase, and then that you've had time to follow up on, say, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, there was one that was like, just throwing random numbers out there, that was like 300K, but it would make sense for you at 250. And so you may be offered 225, you don't hear anything, but then maybe a week or so later, you follow back up and still don't hear anything. Has it been, one of those uh, processes like that where it's been just kind of not really exhaustive, but at least to the point where you've kicked the tires, so to speak, on some of these properties?
Have not really done the best at follow up. There was one that went pending, and then it came back on the market, and then I shot him another email and said, "Hey, if they're still interested, this is my offer. Just reach out to me if they're interested in that, and then I'll have the official offer submitted." So partially because I do have a license, I got no problem just being like, "Hey, this would be my offer," and then I'll have someone else submit it. And that's also because it's like I don't want to beat my agent over the head every other day, just like, here's an offer that's 50K under asking. And it's like I don't want to waste their time doing that. So it's like I want someone to say yes, and then I'm like, okay, agent, write the official offer for me, please, because here's actually a paycheck for you.
Gotcha. Okay. Um, so, oh, that's right. And then, well, no, that hasn't happened yet. That's what, the 17th, where um the
Can't use commission or
NAR.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's not until the 17th. Um, okay. So reason where all of those questions were going was, it doesn't sound as though you've been impatient. Um, well, I guess one of the other questions, do any of the properties cash flow at the asking prices?
Asking price, no. I think the closest I got was 20K less than the asking. Well, the technical answer is it would technically cash flow, but it would not cash flow enough for until the lowest I think amount was 20K under, and then I was like, yeah, that would be worth it to me.
Okay. So reason for that was to, get the sense and kind of understanding of looking at the asset class first and foremost to say, you know, have you considered other asset classes that are already in your market first and foremost? Say, for example, you've only focused on 3.2s. Have you considered something that's like 4 bedroom or maybe even 5 bedroom? Because I've actually done both of those and it was still an exhausting process. Um, where I'm going with this ultimately is there may be another asset class that might just so happen to work that, again, focusing in on only the one asset class within the market may simply prompt you to say, okay, this particular asset class doesn't work, but let me try looking at another asset class that's already in the market. I went through that for, I think, a little over a year, maybe about a year and a half for every asset class outside of raw land and um what was the other one? Uh Condos, essentially, let's call it. So those are the only two things in my market. And oh, and not trailers, mobile homes. Didn't look at any of those. So uh outside of those, everything that was, attached to the ground and um is in the market, 2 bedroom, 3, 4, 5, 6, even 8 bedroom. Looked at everything, and with the combination of prices, uh, interest rates, and this is, of course, me already making offers as well, like making offers, countering, you know, where people actually get back to me and say, you know, hey, we offered this, we see you want to come at this. So, going back and forth and whatnot. But all of that's to say that was an exhaustive process. And maybe you don't need to spend a year and a half necessarily doing that. It may simply be looking at simply a different asset class. That is the sort of preface behind me about to say it took that year and a half and looking at everything before I was like, you know what? Time to look at a different market. And from there, having that knowledge of using the understanding of the buy box and the really looking at the area average rents. So within Lumberjack's course, he teaches how to perform like basically a rent analysis or a rent box, basically. But you can basically do a very similar version of it by, if you go on apartments.com or Zillow or Redfin and then just look at those rents very similarly to how you'd be looking at prices that or properties that could potentially cash flow. So basically comparing a buy box and a rent box for different markets. So that's what led me to Detroit ultimately, because it was going to be between Detroit, Columbus, Ohio. Still do have my eye, interestingly enough, Frank, on St. Louis. But that was sort of, I mean, I know this is a really exhaustive answer, but it's really the thought process to make sure to kind of say, hey, is there anything that I might potentially be missing before deciding to say, hey, I've looked only at 3.2s in my market for the last 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. Now I'm going to go look potentially out of state or out of area or something like that. So just a consideration. Like I said, I know it was pretty lengthy, but that was what I've just been through for the last, year and a half before settling on Detroit and getting ready to close on this property.
Okay. Right. Yeah.
Um,
For oh, go ahead, Frank.
Michael, I was just going to ask what class of properties and what type of properties have you been looking at so far? And maybe what's your market?
So to me, the line between C and B can kind of get blurred. So I don't know exactly which which one exactly is which. But it's C or B is probably where I'm looking. Lower B, maybe upper C. And then the market, there's a couple of zip codes in the Winston area that were pretty good. That one of them I live in. A couple of them are just always decent, and then one is kind of just depends where you are in that zip code.
Mhm.
Ideally, I'm not restricting the bedrooms. It's more of a what can I afford right now? Because I talked to the lender and it's like, okay, I can afford between this range and this range. And then, so I pretty much just set up the criteria for that. Ideally, I'd like to eventually get into small multifamily, but I don't think I have the funds for that now. So I'm going to try to do a decent single family. And then in November, I'm probably moving back home. So I'm going to essentially force my townhouse I'm in now into a rental. And then I'll have, with any luck, 2 small single families and then figure it out from there.
Okay, that's helpful. Yeah, it seems like B minus might be a little bit tighter on the cash flow. You know, where we're investing, Cynthia and I, is definitely C. Some might even say C minus, but the cash flow, the price to rent ratio is really good. And we're having success there. The other thing I should add to that is, again, Cynthia's probably going to work one more year teaching. This will be her last year. And I'm hoping to work another couple of years and then be able to at least make work optional for myself. So we're definitely going for cash flow. We're not even focusing on appreciation. You know, I don't think that we're young enough to have that time for appreciation to kick in for us later down the road. And I think Casey from Brick by Brick Wealth, she's in Tennessee, and I think she started with C plus properties and has moved into like a B minus. And like you said, that's all relative, right? There's a lot of things people, I guess, look at when they're grading a property. So I don't know. I don't think any of that helps, but I was just curious where you're at, and maybe that's part of the struggle, right? You're looking at maybe a little bit higher class property, which isn't a bad thing. And I think if you've been looking at single families, like Chester said, trying a duplex or a triplex or something, because you never know if you. One of the other people in here was kind of capped out on their limit. Like you said, they gave them a range, but then when they started looking at DSCR loans, that range increased because it's a lot less paperwork. There's a lot less, I guess, requirements, for lack of a better term, in that kind of a situation. The interest rates are a little bit higher, but I think he jumped from, I think it was around 140 up to 200. The range for a conventional loan was around 140, and then jump into DSCR was 200 or a little bit more. So that might make a difference as well.
As a follow-up to that, as far as like the C properties, so what is your I guess paying criteria for crime that's around the unit? Because I always pop that into spotcrime.com
Yeah.
just to make sure that it's not like a war zone.
Right. Yeah,
So I
that's
just wanted to.
we use that as well. And there's also another a site it's called Door Profit, and it's free, where you can go in and pop an address in there as well. Excuse me, and they have a really good crime map as well. That's Spot Crime gives you all the little guys on the map, but
Yeah.
in Door Profit, it's colors, and it's dark orange is bad and light cream is good, so you can see your address wherever it falls into that color map. What other ones do you guys know of? Any other crime type maps available?
Uh, Outside of spot crime, there was the one when I went up to Detroit. I do not remember it right off the top of my head. We had used it extensively while we were up there, but it was on my phone, so of course I would have to. I can try to see if I can find it, and if I can, I'll put it in the chat. But
Okay.
yeah, it's been
Yeah.
a while.
The other thing too, Michael, have you been working with an agent or a property manager in the area? Just because I always bounce our addresses off of. So if our agent brought us a deal, I would give the address to my property manager, obviously, because if he's not comfortable managing in any area, that would be a no for us. And he's given us feedback. Most of the addresses have been good for him, except for one out of the last 10, maybe. And he was cautious about one area that my agent thought was a decent area. So if you're not working with an agent, that might be a place to start, or at least when we were just starting out, I would reach out to property managers in the areas, and I usually had an address. Like if the agent sent over a property or there was one on the website or something, give them the address and say, hey, I'm thinking about this property. What do you think of the area? What are area average rents that you're seeing? Things like that. It could give you some good information.
Okay.
Mhm.
And so there's one I was looking at before this call. I can actually, I can plop the address in chat to spot crime it,
Oh yeah,
and
sure.
then just sort of see what you were, as far as like what you would think it would be. The main thing is about a month and a half ago, it looked like there was a shooting like a couple doors down,
Mhm.
and so that's kind of where I was hesitant.
Have you done the what is it? I think it's a non-emergency line. I think that's what Dion calls it for the area. So it looks like Winston-Salem. Have you checked with the non-emergency number there?
I have not. I'm not sure what that is. Besides, uh, you just mean like
So
call the police and just see what the high crime rates are?
So it's a little bit
Or
different than the police because that's, again, the regular 911, but there's also a non-emergency number. So I would imagine something like Googling non-emergency um, phone number for Winston-Salem, and it should come up. Like it should
yeah,
be
it looks
like a
like
list of resources.
it looks like AI actually answered my question correctly. It popped it up, I think, right here when I Googled it.
Okay, I'm pulling up the property on Spot Crime right now.
That one, that one doesn't look bad, at least to what they're saying. Because also, I mean, it says shooting, but then under more information, it just says discharge of a firearm. So,
Yeah,
and
so it could have been like an accidental discharge because regardless of whether it's intentional or accidental, every shooting has to be reported. Like that
Okay.
is actually something that um now again, of course it's going to be different from state to state, but presumably when you register your firearm, um you're going to have like a list of criteria like very similarly to when you register a car. Like there'll be the VIN number, and then of course you register that with the Department of Motor Vehicles, but you register your firearm, whether it be with your, city or county or even state police, simply because if they need to be able to go back and trace it, they've already got at least all of the registered weapons for that particular jurisdiction to know, okay, we can rule all of X, Y, and Z out, which is one of the reasons why ghost guns are such a headache, but that's a slightly different thing. So it could be even it could be even that, you know, I'd say minor, but depending on the circumstances. Because you don't ever want to say a shooting is minor, but
Yeah, I get what
um
you mean though.
And so the requirements, one of them being reporting requirements for if in the event that, whenever there's a discharge of a firearm, whether it be calling 911 or just simply saying, hey, gun accidentally went off, whatever the case. But usually I believe it's mandatory. It's been a while since I have to go back through the firearms training course, but I do think that was one of the things that I remembered was if there was anyone who has been injured, it's mandatory that you call the police to inform and report about the shooting because they, of course, are going to have to mandatorily come lights and sirens. So, like I said, definitely do the research. It may be an accidental discharge. It could be something more serious, but you know, without knowing outside of there was a shooting, not really, can't really say one way or the other.
I popped it into Door Profit as well, and on there it looks like one of the safer areas is between two areas that have a little bit more crime, but there's a wide swath of good.
Yeah, and I know up near the northern part of the airport, uh, just try to avoid that, but down there it
Mhm.
should be
Yeah,
pretty
that's what it
decent.
looked like.
Yeah, up near Clemensville Road, it looks like. And then what is this? Can't see what highway that is. Looks like a major thoroughfare, but yeah, nothing near Clemensville Road. That looks horrible.
Yeah, and usually there's
What?
because even where I live, it's like there's that my neighborhood's nice, but then about 60 seconds down the road, you get to like the busy shopping road where everything is, and it's like there's a whole bunch of stuff that always happens there, but nothing ever comes into the neighborhoods. It always stays over there.
Mhm. Yeah,
What's
I think
the
it's
website called again?
there's two. There's Spot Crime, and the other one is Door Profit.
Okay.
Second. There's spot crime. And Door Profit. Is that one that, all right, correct me if I'm wrong, was that one of the ones that Lumberjack had reviewed on his uh like when he was reviewing all of them, it was like Hem Lane, Door Loop. Was Door Profit one of those as
I don't
well?
I don't think so. No.
Okay.
Yeah, Door Profit is one that we became aware of from the Addicted to ROI community.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and on Door Profit, you can also look for properties. They have um, a lot of properties listed. You can refine your search by state, by price, just like if you're looking for something on Zillow or anywhere else. And you can analyze deals. You can create a free account on that site.
I'm
It
looking
says,
this crime map is going to be incredibly useful because it kind of just highlights everything.
yeah, the one on Door Profit.
Yeah,
Uh-huh. Yeah, I like it. And
which is
so
also useful because I one of the places I was thinking of looking to is Greensboro International Airport is 30 minutes away from me, which has a distribution center for Harris Teeter and Amazon like right next door. And I was like, ooh, job market.
yeah,
Um, and so I'm kind of just looking at this map and it kind of showing me, okay, I don't want to go that far into Greensboro. I want to kind of try to get it around here. So that's actually really useful information.
great. So it looks like we might not have a guest this evening, but um, so we'll just make the rounds. Chester, how's your deal going?
Still in progress. I got a it's kind of funny, but sort of not. If it was one of those things where you'd have to be paying attention to it. So I got a lead report today back from uh, the turnkey provider, and the address was wrong. And thankfully, it was not the same address because there was like literally everything that was checked where it could have had lead. Literally every box was checked and had lead, like way over all of the uh I guess limits or recommended limits or whatever the mandatory limits. And so at first it was a little bit of a oh my gosh, what is going on type of the scenario. But then I went back and looked again at the top of the page. There's just like right after the, header page or whatever you want to call it, is the first page of like details within the report. And I noticed that the property address was wrong. So I sent the email back over to the turnkey guy and was like, yeah, whoever did the lead inspection, please have them send the right one, because whatever property this is for, I don't think this is fit for habitation at all. So,
Well, that's good.
so yeah, but outside of the mini scare, so to speak, right now still waiting to hear back about the reconsideration of value for from rather the appraiser. And it sounds as though all of the comp properties that the turnkey provider is using, they sounds like they've already had a conversation, but then after they had the conversation, they of course had to submit all of the paperwork to kind of formalize everything. But it sounds as though the appraiser is going to reconsider using those comp properties. So it may not, get to the value of the loan, but that's where I'm going to end up, again, having that conversation like, what Dion had talked about yesterday, and actually a couple weeks ago about the don't start in the middle. You want to start a little bit lower to kind of say, if it's, 10,000, start at like 2,500 and then kind of work your way up if it gets all the way up to 5,000. But yeah, never start in the middle.
Okay, good.
So
Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Santiago, for that website. I haven't seen that one before. Basilio, you haven't been in for a while. How you doing?
Hey everybody. Hi Frank. Yeah, I've been very busy lately, but I'm glad to be here tonight with you guys for some time.
Great.
Yeah, just dealing with my W2 job during the day and then getting ready to close on the next property next week. Actually, I'm closing on Wednesday on a duplex in Jacksonville, my investing market.
Okay, nice.
congratulations. And don't forget to get the don't forget to send Zuber the
Yeah, for the card.
yeah.
Yeah. Definitely will do so.
You got to keep those cards coming.
So yeah, and I'm glad I was able to negotiate. Besides the price, the purchase price, I was able to negotiate some credits towards the closing costs for some repairs that I have to do in the property. Like I have to, well, it's not repairs, it's just replacements. They have a Federal Pacific electrical panels.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be replacing those. So I was able to get a credit towards closing on that. But yeah, I mean, I'm really excited and looking forward to close on Wednesday next week.
Yeah, that's good. I know Federal Pacific has been an issue for a long time. So when you're going to replace those, and are you upgrading the size? Do you know if they're 100 amp boxes now? Are you going to increase to 125 or 200?
I would like to, if I'm gonna replace them, I would like to do 200.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know the existing ones, what size they are.
Okay.
I do
Yeah.
have the whole full home inspection, so I just have to go back and look. I'm sure on the inspection report that information should be in there, right?
Yeah, it should be in there. Sometimes one thing that has limited us in the past from upgrading in size was the size of the leads coming from the pole to the house. The wires were too small, so they couldn't upgrade us to 200. We had to stay with a 125 because obviously the
Okay.
200 gives you that many more breaker spaces to add load.
The electrical company has to change that out. You shouldn't have to pay for it.
Yeah, if they will, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, Jason, how that would work. So for example, you like he has this house and it has a say 100 amp service and he wants to upgrade to 200. It doesn't seem like the electrical company would upgrade those for free.
They
They would-
upgraded my house for free.
What's
I
that?
had to have a permit, for the guy to change the fuse box out, the
Uh-huh.
breaker box out. But the ComEd, which is my electrical company,
Uh-huh.
they brought new lines to the house because they were too small. It's
Okay,
not that they were too small, you need another phase.
I
So you need
see.
3 wires instead of 2. But
Okay,
I would think every electrical company has to do that. They're responsible for maintaining the utility.
yeah, it seems like I guess they might look at it that way, but I'm thinking, so just say on my house, I have a 100 amp box now. And if I want to go up to 200, they might just tell me to stay with 100 because that's the size of the wires that I have. I'll let you know what happens there because I am
Yeah,
gonna,
it's worth giving them a call and asking about it.
yeah. And California,
Yeah, that's a whole different beast.
yeah. Yeah, well, that's good. What is there any other stuff that you have to do, Basilio, for?
No, not at this time. This property I actually have is septic tanks. So I know in the future I will have to probably replace those, which I'm planning to look at my options, because if I can connect them to city, I will do so.
Mhm.
Even though that's a big expense, probably will be around 20K, 25K to put the house in city. But I think it's worth it because I really don't want to be dealing with septic tanks. Especially in this house right now, they have 4 septic tanks.
Mm.
They have 2 septic tanks, and then each tank has a dosing tank. I'm not sure what it does. I don't know anything about septic tanks or very limited knowledge on that, but I know in total it's 4 tanks. They're in working condition. They just eventually will have to be replaced. So I know that's something that I need to start planning for in the future to replace that,
Yeah,
And also I have the option to put the whole system in just one septic tank if I want to.
mhm.
So that way I don't have 4 tanks anymore. And then in the future, then it will be less money to repair those, or to repair that tank instead of 4.
Yeah. Do you know if
Yeah.
the current tanks cement or fiberglass or plastic?
I think it's cement, if I'm not mistaken. I will have to open the septic report because I did a septic inspection, by the way, on
Yeah.
these tanks as well.
Yeah, we have a concrete tank and they do have 2 separate tanks. One is for the incoming sewage, right? And that first tank is where all of the solids are supposed to sink down to the bottom.
Mhm.
And then all the liquid that's up on top would flow into the second tank, the second half. So that's why when you have a septic tank pumped, they're pumping out the first side with all the solids. So
Mm.
you don't want, and then after that you have your leach field. So all of the, I wouldn't call it clean water, but all of the water, then when it rises to a certain point, it goes down into the leach field and it drains into the ground. So for example, if you don't get it pumped regularly and the solids start going and getting into the leach field, it clogs up the leach field and then it won't be good anymore.
Gotcha.
Oh, you already have 150 amps. That's pretty good.
Yeah. I was looking at the report while we were talking about the septic tanks. Yeah, so 150 amps. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And yeah, no, other than that, I mean, I'm just as soon as I close next week, I'm gonna start looking into HELOCs. I wanna explore the option. even though I'm not gonna move on that very quick because I want to see the pros and cons. I've been watching some videos already
Mhm.
from different people that I follow online. But HELOCs are one of those things that could be very good or very dangerous, right? Depending on how you use it, you gotta be careful. So
Yeah,
I just wanna see what options I have, and if I can find the right HELOC at the right terms, it might be worth it right now, especially for the next couple of months to have that available in
mhm.
case that a good deal comes my way, since I think for the remainder of the year, we're gonna have really good opportunities
Yeah,
to buy good properties. Yeah. So
good. Who else is with us? Oh, Ryan, you popped in. How are you? Are you there? Are you working?
I'm here. Sorry. Hey, Frank, how you doing?
We're doing good. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see everyone. Sorry, it's been a minute. Just busy with things. Updates I have. So we're doing our one loan single family in Cincinnati. Our renewals coming up in October. So did the binder method, got about $75 increase coming up. They've already agreed to. No issue. Only maintenance stuff we have on that. We had to pressure wash the siding just because it was like not algae, but growth kind of on the side. And then they've had quite a few rainstorms over the summer. So in the basement, there's a bathroom. The previous owner had like this LVP flooring that's starting to warp a little bit. And it's an unfinished basement, so water's in there from time to time. So that's the only thing. It's like maybe 80 or 100 square feet or less that we're just going to do with some tile and get that fixed up. But same tenants for this will be year 4, I think. Yeah, year 4 with them. And this is our second rent raise, so no issues. And then yeah, still saving for house hack. Hopefully next year, where I live here in Tucson, would love to get like a duplex or something. And then our current primary, just rent that out. So chugging along. So
Yeah, great. No, it sounds good.
yeah. But
Yeah, good to hear. And what did you say your rent raise was?
$75. So we're at 1,700 now, and it's a 4-bed, 2-bath in a suburb of Cincinnati. So 1,775. We're gonna in October 1st or
Okay.
so.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And at 1775, would that be a little bit below market? You know how Dion talks all the time.
Slightly. I think market right now is about between 18 and 1850 for that side of town. They've been great tenants, so I'm like, hey, this is the whole Dion thing. Hey, here's the comps. Want to work with you guys. And the nice thing too is they signed a 2-year lease prior to that. So like I think they were happy because we did $100 because it was at 1,600 2 years ago. What was that, 21? So we're keeping up slowly with the market rents and things, but
Great. Great. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you guys too.
Let's see who else is with us. Anybody else have anything they want to chat about? Nothing challenging anybody.
Hey, Frank, how's it going?
Yeah. Hi, Santiago.
I just wanted to chip in on the previous topic there for Michael, regarding the crime statistics.
Mhm.
I've been kind of researching a lot in a lot of these podcasts and whatnot, YouTube videos, and I see a lot of real estate investors. Well, maybe not a lot, but there's several that put little weight on the crime statistics of a location. And I kind of see why, right? So like when I pop in my zip code onto some of these crime statistics websites where I used to live in Jersey, it comes out above average crime rate, right? Which, most people would not want to, they would be dissuaded from living there or even buying there. But
Mhm.
where I used to live there, I lived there for 3 years. And there was no real issues that I can think of, right? Like I wasn't scared to walk down the street, good neighborhood, up and coming. So it had all these good qualities of what I would kind of look for of a place to invest. But if I had looked at the crime statistics, I probably, I would have been dissuaded. I would have had second thoughts about that. And that's one of my best cash flowing homes. So, it's the crime statistics, you got to be careful with that because a lot of the quote unquote, good areas or popular areas tend to have more or higher crime rates because they're popular, they're metro areas, they're more populated, right? So that's just 2 cents on that. And then the other thing too that's kind of helped me out is I'm not sponsored by them, but the coffee closers, some of you guys have heard of them, coffee closers.
Yeah.
They give you the rating, A, B, C, D, on the property on a location, and they do it on a very granular location, so they go deeper than just the zip code. I've been using them for about a month now. I like it. I think they're a startup. I don't know how long they've been in business, and it's not perfect, but it's certainly helpful if you're new and you're trying to kind of figure out what you should be looking for. And I've had a chance to actually tour some of the places that I was looking in on these on coffee closers, and what I see myself kind of lines up pretty well, with the grading that they put on coffee closers, right? So I stopped by some place in Orlando a couple of weeks back, and the areas that they had given a C minus, are what I would have considered a C minus, and then you can clearly see the difference once it hits to like B, right? Everything that's on a B area, now you start to see, there might be a large popular grocery chains nearby, maybe like a Target, like not too far, there might be a Starbucks or something like that. So for myself, I decided that I was gonna look only for properties that are B minus and up. And again, that site doesn't take into account crime statistics because one of the founders, this is where I kind of heard it right. One of the founders shares that sentiment that crime statistics can be deceiving a little bit. But nonetheless, it's a little bit expensive to be honest with you, but it's been pretty useful for me right now, at least to get a quick read on a particular location. So I think there's a 2-week free demo version of it that people can try. So I would highly suggest that anybody new, I don't know if Michael you're new, but if anybody new or having some questions about that could try it out. Yeah, Ariel, I just saw the financial fighter there. Put some links there. I think it's the Mark.
Yeah, Mark. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mark.
He's saying they're having a free webinar tomorrow.
Yeah. So it looks like a good product. I've been trying others as well, and I'm more inclined to use that one right now. So just FYI, if you're just starting out, you have a couple bucks to spare a month, it might be a good idea to give it a shot.
Yeah, those are some great tips and input. What does that one cost you per month? Is it a monthly subscription?
It is monthly, but it varies by the county. So I think if I remember correctly, when I subscribed to like 3 counties, and it's somewhere around $100 or close to that, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if I'm confusing with another one. You guys want to check out the pricing on that, but yeah, they charge by how many counties you want to look
Okay.
or research. So I have 3 on mine in Florida that I want to look at, and so that's what I've been looking at. That's what I pay. I'll probably drop 1 or 2 counties next month because I'm starting to see that some areas are just not fit for my budget. So yeah, give it a shot.
Yeah, thank you for that tip, Santiago. I just signed up on the website while you were talking about that. So they actually give you a 7-day trial, and you don't even have to put your credit card, which I really like.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check it out.
I've exchanged a lot of emails with them because so on my day job, I'm a product owner, so I get pretty critical of software and things like that, right? When things are not working the way I expect them to work or something. I'm probably more critical than the average person, but I'll exchange information with them about things I'm seeing that you know I think I question or could be improved on, and they're very open, very receptive, and they give you. You know, they got you a lot of feedback about things that they might be working on in the future and how to correct some of these things. So, you know, yeah, good. Give them props. You know, I think they're doing the right thing. That was free advertising for.
Yeah, I'm sure they appreciate that. We'll have to let her know tomorrow that you're all in. Maybe get you a discount for the next couple months.
Yeah, but yeah, give it a try if you're new, especially. So definitely try the free trial. That's how I started, and I decided to keep it.
Yeah, I was looking at it's got that thing where the price is like halved. I'm guessing it's like a sign up special or whatever. But yeah, I'm looking at where I live now because that's where I'm gonna try to turn it into.
Like I think I popped in your address on my version here, and it did come up with. Let me. I think it said a C minus. Hold on. Let me see. Let me find it again. Close it. Close it. Oh, there it is. It was in Winston-Salem. Yeah, so when I pop it in, it tells me it's a C plus neighborhood, some bad tenants, some older homes, and they give you statistics about, you know, the median household income, percentage employed compared to the state, I believe, I'm not mistaken, you know, how many people, homes are owner occupied, vacancy ratio, education level of the people there, like the bachelor's degree or higher, so higher education population. Yeah, stuff that there's more stuff I would want to see, but I think I might be getting too granular into what their product scope offers. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Kind of mentioned that, right? There's a scope within what they want to stay with, and there's definitely other products too that go into some really significant details and statistics that might be overwhelming, but this kind of reaches a good balance. Anyway, good luck searching.
Yeah, I'm getting lots of useful websites I'm gonna be having to look through in my free time.
There you go. Who else is with? Oh, hey, Kevin, you're here tonight. How you doing? Anything new going on with you?
Hey Frank, how's it going?
Going well.
Nothing too new. We put an offer on a house. The seller didn't accept, but we were gonna follow up. It went into contract, and then yeah, I think it went pending this week, but then I think yesterday it came back on the market. So it seemed whoever went to go take a look at it didn't like what they saw of the property.
Oh, okay. Where is that at, and what kind of property is it?
Single family house out in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
That area. It's a little bit out in the suburbs, actually, out in northeast. So not quite in. It's just outside the perimeter out there. So yeah.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Do you you said it fell out of contract. Do you ever, when you follow up, do you find out why it fell out of contract?
I think we plan on doing that. Yeah. So we'll sort of. I told our agent that we said that we'd probably follow up in a week or two, just to see if you know, if there's still or if there's any interest or any change of heart on their end. It's actually a probate sale, so
Okay.
they have a little bit of time. It seems like it's been on the market for like 130 days now.
Oh.
But it's a long. I think they also are gonna have a long closing date too. So that's not something I'm you know we have an issue on. So on our end.
Yeah, I
But
think
yeah.
I'm not sure where we were talking, if it was last week, but there was somebody who was in the middle of a probate, and they were saying that they're at the 2-year mark now, and it's finally coming together.
Wow.
Yeah, I guess that can take a while. Maybe it was Val Fears. So the other thing that came to mind while you were telling us about that is sometimes in the past, when I've checked with our agent to see why a deal fell out of contract, maybe something on the inspection report if they got that far. And we've had luck a couple of times where the people that were under contract have shared the inspection report with us if we paid for half the report instead of for a full inspection. So
Interesting.
yeah, they've allowed us access by us offering that. So
How
I
did
mean,
you get in contact with them
it-
initially?
yeah, we asked our agent to reach out to the seller's agent. And so when we did that, we said, hey, can you find out why it fell out? And in that specific case, she came back and said they didn't like something on the report. And then it was actually the agent who said, you know, if you want to see the report, they might offer that to you if you want to split the cost with them. And we did. So, you know, it was like $250 or something. So we saved half on the inspection from doing it ourselves.
Interesting. Did you ended up pursuing that after the fact, or?
On that deal, no, I don't think we didn't pursue that one after we saw the report. And I can't remember what the deal was on the report right now.
But it was based off of something from that report, right? Not like
Yes.
that you just lost interest in it. Okay, gotcha.
Oh no, yeah, no, it was something on the report. And
Yeah.
usually, I mean, for us, I think the worst thing is a bad sewer scope. You know, that's one thing that we haven't wanted to pursue once we get that. And later on, I'll tell you about the deal that we're under contract for now because there is an issue with the sewer scope. So,
Right.
but yeah, before we do that, I'm hoping to make sure. Hey, Harrison, how are you?
Good, Greg. How you doing?
Good to see you. Yeah. We're just going around checking with everybody, see if they have any things they are working through, need help with, or anything like that. What do you have going on?
Sure. Potential encapsulation. I've been getting quotes and they've been really high, almost 12.5, and it's for 400 square feet, 6 feet high. But I'm really trying to figure out whether it's worth it doing myself by doing some blue aims and just and then just kind of wrapping it underneath. I don't know. That's been something I was wondering to talk to the group about.
Yeah, encapsulation.
Yeah, for the crawl space.
For the attic or the crawl space?
Crawl space underneath.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that is that when they put down the vapor barrier for you and seal all that up for
seal it all off, waterproof it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How big is the house?
Just the area that needs to be encapsulated is, they said, like less than 800 square feet total.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. So it's on a hill, so it's the lower part is there's a garage, and then there's the little part right here that's just the unfinished area. Yeah.
Okay. And how did that come about? How did you learn that it needed to be encapsulated?
Yeah, it's one of those where it's the issue of, what was it? Potential mold growth and trying to keep out the elements right now, because with Ohio and Virginia, it's both of them. It's when it gets wet, it gets very wet, and I'm also trying to figure out a French drain or something to, like, what's the cost benefit of doing either or? Because the French drain's about 8,500, and then the encapsulation is about 12,500, and I'm trying to figure out which is the best way to do it.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that on Sunday. As far as the French drain goes, it seems like a lot.
Yeah.
Too high a cost for that, because it seems like if you just dug a trench, right? So you have the neighbor on the high side.
Yeah.
And maybe on your side of the fence, a couple feet from the fence, you dig a trench that's maybe, I don't know, 12 to 24 inches deep.
Right.
And then you would lay some kind of a membrane in there, right? And then
Yeah.
fill it with gravel. So any runoff from the upper side would fall into that trench and go, and you would direct it wherever. That doesn't seem like it should cost $8,000.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. I'm getting a lot of go away prices. So it's just, I don't know, because you were talking about a few weeks ago how it's been hard to get good help. And so it's just, yeah, that's what it sounds like right now.
How are you getting your leads? Are you just calling companies, or you have a PM or somebody?
Yeah, so I have my PM and they charge a very flat, or they charge a flat rate, but it's 110 an hour, regardless of what's going on. And my real estate agent has quite a few contacts in the area as well. So I've been going word of mouth, trying to figure out, and then kind of getting the quotes from there.
Okay, and that was in Cleveland, you said?
Akron, but yeah, right outside Cleveland. Yeah.
Akron. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so you're obviously trying to time this before winter hits.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So it's one of those, yeah, Jackson, he was saying that potentially you could put it off till April, just because of like the ground's really hard right now. So you'd have to do a lot of digging anyway. So it's like, well, the rainy season, you could, punt it till the rainy season. So
yeah, there are, I mean, here in California, whenever we're going to dig like that, we have to call before we dig, right? So they can mark mark for any power lines or weird stuff under the ground. But I mean, if you could find somebody with like a trenching machine, that's pretty common, a pretty common tool where they could dig a trench. They don't have to do it by hand necessarily, unless the slope is so great that they can't keep the machine straight.
Gotcha.
But
Yeah.
those go down pretty deep. And even here at my place, when I've had to do trenches, I actually used to rent like a rototiller, right? And a rototiller will disturb about 6 to 8 inches at a time. So I would make a pass, it would loosen the dirt, and then I'd shovel the dirt out. And then when I got to the solid dirt, do it again and loosen the next 6 or so inches. I don't know if there's anybody out there, a handyman or anybody that might consider doing that.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, because I don't like to dig either, but that was one way I did it.
That's a great idea. Thank you. Yeah, I'll check that out.
Yeah. I was trying to remember if I know anybody in that area that might be able to send some referrals your way, but I'll keep that in mind.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Of course. Who else with us? Kenny, you're here. Is that Kenny or Jen?
It's Kenny.
Hi, Kenny.
Hey, Kenny.
Hey, Frank.
Anything new going on?
Nothing new. Just still looking at my market, seeing the next property to buy. But yeah, nothing new.
Okay, and is that mostly in Texas or someplace
else?
else?
Yeah, it's in Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some fourplexes that I'm eyeing right now. I just noticed that they had a price decrease, so I'm thinking about writing a disrespectful offer and see where that takes me.
Okay, great. Great.
Nice.
Good luck.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Kenny, you're focusing mostly on Central Texas, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So the area is Bell County. That's the name of the county. So it's about an hour north of Austin.
Nice.
Well, Sarah, are you there, Robert? How are you? Maybe not. And again, I was saying earlier, you guys know we were supposed to have the rep from Hemling on with us tonight. Maybe we got lost on her calendar, but hopefully Dana will connect with Dana again in the future here, and we'll get one of them on. Dana was in Africa or something, so she's had asked one of her associates to do it, and we had it planned and we had it on the calendar, but so I apologize for that, but we'll get somebody soon. I'm almost afraid to ask, Mark, are you working? Are you working out, cooking?
Yeah.
I don't know what else you firefighters do. He must be busy. Maybe that's good. Jeffrey, how are you doing? Everything going well?
I'm just going through these crime maps from the coffee site, and I don't think I would have bought any of my properties had I looked at we're all FFFFF all the way across the board. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I that was a pretty valuable insight, Santiago. I think that's so true. Yeah, when you think about where you actually live, you know, where we live, my wife calls it the crime capital of the world, but we're out a little bit in the country. If you go into town, you know, I wouldn't live there. So you just have to take it with a grain of salt, and then, you know, do the research on the websites. But then, like I said, I follow up with the property managers and stuff because they're the ones on the ground there. So just get their opinion as well.
Keep in mind too, on the Coffee Closers website, they actually don't use crime statistic to my knowledge. Those grades are based on things like population growth, median income, household owners. There's a number of statistics that they use to come up to those values. So yeah, that one, they actually don't use crime statistics. And I think that the reason was precisely why I said earlier, right, is I think the founders are you know, I think their thought process is that crime statistics can be deceiving, right? Like I said, where I lived in Jersey for 3 years, beautiful area, a lot of families, and I just popped it into my into some of these other crime map, and what was the other one? Spot crime.
Yeah, spot crime.
It's above average crime, and you know, I just didn't see that, you know.
Yeah, like you said, it's if it's a densely populated area, they're not like, I think they link out to that crime statistic page. That's how I got to it. It's not on the coffee URL, so it's not really them. They're just linking out to it. But yeah, it just seems like it's really more driven by population density, and they're not doing it on a per capita basis. So yeah, that would totally make sense. Yeah.
Even where I live right now too, like I live in Miami, and you know, again, I other than you know, an occasional you know, homeless person, I guess, because there's a lot of that, like in New York, California, Miami. But other than that, you know, I've never really felt unsafe here, and it's showing again well above average crime data, right? But
yeah. Yeah, I mean, when I'm looking at the location information, all those different pull downs, that reminds me of city data, because that's kind of where I'll do my location research, is just check unemployment and average rent and that kind of stuff in city data to get make sure that I'm meeting kind of my minimums for a multifamily. And you know, so far so good on that. But this is nice. So very, very cool. My big thing right now, Robert has yesterday, Robert, he gave me a crash course in electric, because we're doing a safety audit and potentially renovation for our electric and our triplex. So just learning about the different kind of circuit breakers and where they should be used and how and why, what grounding protects us from versus like surge protection and that kind of stuff. So just wanting to get together with electricians and make sure that we are gonna generally be safe with a 100-year-old property, and that you know, I mean, we're not gonna rewire the whole place. We have old cloth. They call it cloth wiring. I guess they cover the wire. They insulate the wire with cloth versus like just regular, you know, rubber or whatever their new material is. So we're just trying to, you know, on the cheap, you know, get proper surge protection and these different kind of arc fault, ground fault, you know, current breakers and all that kind of stuff to make sure that we're not going to start fires and have major safety hazards as a result of the way that the place is currently treated. And we're just trying to do it for, you know, for as little money as possible rather than spending 10 to 20 grand rewiring the whole place.
Yeah, that makes sense. So when you say cloth wire, so the cloth is wrapping the wires, are the wires themselves wrapped in cloth, or are those wrapped in vinyl? Do you know?
There's no vinyl. There's
Okay.
The wire itself is wrapped in cloth.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think they said it's like 70 or 80%, like 70 or 80% of the wiring in our place is cloth wiring.
Mhm.
Is that right? And then you know, some of the stuff is newer, and so some of it's got, like you said, the vinyl sheathing, insulation, whatnot. But yeah, we got a decent amount of cloth wiring. So I gotta imagine that just increases our you know, danger profile, and all the more reason why we want to try to be as as ship shape as possible on all the other protections if we're not going to rewire the whole place, which we're not at this time.
Yeah. So have you spoken with your electricians yet?
Yeah, they did a safety audit, and basically what we learned from the safety audit was what I just said. We got, you know, a bunch of cloth wire, and then we also learned that we have most of, I think it's like, again, like 70-80% of our outlets are not grounded outlets, and yet they're 3-pronged, so they're misleading. And so we're going to convert most of those back to 2-prongs so that nobody's plugging in stuff that needs a ground into something that doesn't have one, into an outlet that doesn't have one. And also that all our wet outlets, none of them are GFCI, which is, you know, of course, standard as well. You know, which is a standard that we aren't meeting, basically, on top of that. So I think those were kind of the big findings that we really just need. We need to upgrade all our outlets in kitchens and bathrooms to GFCI. And then we got to convert all our other outlets to 2-prong, possibly some of the outlets in these kitchens and bathrooms to 2-prong if we're not going to ground them. And it does seem like those 2 changes are not very expensive, because they're going to charge us, like, I think $60 for the GFCI conversion, and then 20 for swapping out outlets to 2-prong, basically. So I think we can certainly afford that, although obviously that'll add up. You know, it's on a per outlet basis. But what really costs the money is getting grounded outlets. Like, I think they're charging us between $200 and $300 per outlet to ground them. And so we thought, hey, we'd like to ground all our kitchen appliance outlets, you know, because that's kind of where it probably matters the most, because they're major appliances. But doing the math, it's like, we add all that up, it's probably going to be $3 to $4K for that project. And so talked to Robert about this last night, the potential for not grounding, not spending all that extra money to get ground wires in those outlets, and just doing GFCI and other, you know, like AFCI breakers or dual function breakers in the circuit breaker box and stuff like that, so that we get, you know, a lot of safety out of that stuff for fire prevention, shock prevention, etc., even without having all these outlets be individually grounded. So that was kind of the thumbnail sketch of the plan based upon the original safety audit from the electrician and Robert's feedback. And then on top of that, I'm looking at, hey, is our circuit, are our circuits just generally grounded at all, which I'm hoping they are, even if the individual outlets are not. And then also the potential for surge protection and checking to see if our boards are surge protected, because, you know, I mean, in Florida, we get plenty of lightning. We get plenty of, call it power surges, I guess, just due to constant storms and stuff. So I figure for us, that's probably important to look at that as well, which I haven't, they did not give me a rundown on our circuit boards or our surge protection from that perspective yet. So that's the long and the short of it.
Yeah, I'm not familiar if there's any exterior surge protection like from the utility companies. Do they do anything like that? I don't know.
I know nothing. Like I literally learned about surge protection in a like general surge protection at the board level today, talking to ChatGPT. So that was all like that was a new wrinkle for me. And again, I have no clue.
Okay. Do you know when you say if they're going to be able to ground your GFIs in your wet locations, are they just running a ground wire to those from somewhere?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
basically they're saying, look, if you want us to run a ground wire for outlet A, $200, right? Like that's what it costs for us to do that. And then they gave us like different estimates for different appliance outlets. I don't know why. I mean, I figured running a wire is running a wire, but like I said, it ranged between like 200 and 300 on a definitely at least on a per outlet, if not on a per appliance basis. So that's where it all at. I mean, like I could just see, hey, we got a triplex, we got 3 kitchens. That's at least like 2 or 3 outlets per kitchen, maybe more. So like the math, there you go. You know, you multiply those numbers, and then now we're talking real bucks.
yeah, the only time we've ever had to do that, we were lucky because there was a crawl space. It was just a single story home, obviously. So we were able to go in the crawl space and bring the ground wires up to each receptacle, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, we have a crawl space, so maybe, you know, maybe it'll be easier for them, but you know, I'm sure that they still won't mind charging us for less work. You know, I mean, they are just you know, typical consumer facing electrical contractor.
Yeah. Okay. See who just popped in. Lynn, you just popped in. Are you there?
Hey, if Lynn isn't there, I do have a question.
Of course, go ahead.
So this is more of like it's obviously a very personal question because each person's going to have a different answer. But one thing Dion talks about is how do you know you're ready to invest is because when you're ready to invest, like you understand that you're ready, you know, in terms of multiple aspects, in terms of mental, in terms of understanding your buy box. But I wanted to hear from you guys when you guys were starting out. There's always going to be things that you don't know. So did you guys have like a certain checklist that you guys were kind of going through? Like for me, I wanted to have like my lease in order. I wanted to have like my team of all the people like plumbers, electricians, handymen, people that I can call in terms of emergencies. Obviously the financial aspect in terms of having those reserves, the credit score, all of that stuff. I was wondering if you guys had any key pointers for me. Like I'm 6 to maybe 10 months out before because I have to be bankable at that point. I just got a long-term employment, so I have to wait until that time for that consistent income. Where a lender was telling me the other day that he'll actually count 6 months worth of income. So that was pretty cool news. But just any pointers would be great.
Do you already have anything? I heard you had mentioned things like the checklist of handyman, credit verification, things like that, or well, yeah, like credit verification, basically just things that you've heard along the way, so to speak, thus far. Like, do you have any of that you've already got lined up, or is it just kind of like starting from scratch, just open to suggestions?
So one of the things that, although I need to get it for me personally, one of my friends, Kelly, here in Spokane, she's a property manager, and she has that list already of all the people that she contacts, and she already has a lease that she says I can use. And so that's all information that's honestly really great. She's been a property manager for a number of years, and she's constantly updating the lease. So I know that those are vetted. So I know that those are really good for a start. So that, and also just understanding the buy box, like for me, the small multifamily that I'm looking at, the average cash flow is like maybe break even if you look at the asking price. But if you go like 20 grand or something like that underneath, as we all know from most markets, I can't speak for all of them, but once you go down, the cash flow tends to go. I'm going for 5% down for a building. Yeah, like the classic like Dion buy box, like maybe a duplex side by side built after like 1970 or 1960. Not a complex roof, not a big behemoth, not a super old property, really low maintenance. And there are, fortunately, where I'm at, there are a bunch of small multifamily that does cater towards that. Not always that case. But yeah, I seem to understand the buy box, understand the average return and what makes a great deal separate from a good deal. Yeah, I just feel like for me, it's just a matter of time. But yeah, so I'm not starting from scratch. So I feel like I have a good understanding. But yeah, just willing to hear any pointers.
I've got one fairly straightforward one that I think I would have liked to have appreciated prior to starting, because I did not have this together. I just luckily had support from other people, so it kind of softened the blow. And I don't know how much Zuber covers this exactly, so maybe this is redundant to something you've already set up for yourself, but like whatever your buy box is, beyond the financial side of it, understanding the fleas of that particular dog, like okay, my buy box is single family homes of X type. Well, one of the fleas on that dog is that when you have a vacancy, you're going to pay the mortgage, and it might take longer to rent that place than maybe a multifamily due to the lack of transient nature of that particular tenant, right? So now that's something to appreciate beyond the finances of it. It's like, well, wait a second, I need to have X set aside for vacancies beyond upkeep and all that. For mine, my first purchase was a small multifamily, and it was a 100-year-old property, right? So, well, one of the fleas on that dog is be ready to spend tens of thousands of dollars on deferred maintenance and hidden value add bullshit that people who are buying turnkey may not have to face, right? We spent, I don't know, like an extra $50,000 to $100,000 over the first 3 years, and we were cash flowing like crazy, but all the cash flow and then some went to a new deck that was falling apart and insulation that didn't exist and all this kind of stuff. So 100-year-old multifamily, okay, bigger dump truck full of money because you just can't figure out all the different things that are going to come up out of the woodwork, you know, over a period of the first 3 to 5 years, let's say, you know. So there's all there, you know, every one of those dogs has fleas of various types, upsides and downsides. So beyond the finances, just knowing research, like, okay, this is my buy box, and then just like Googling or ChatGPTing, what are the problems that occur with that particular investment structure, that you want to at least understand. So then you can make your own customized checklist as to girding against those issues. I think for early investors, that's who don't have the backing. Like I had backing, you know, so I was ignorant but lucky, you know. And for those that aren't, it's like, yeah, I think that's smart.
That's great. Yeah, because I feel like for the small multifamily, vacancy could be a part of that as well, because it's not a single family home where you have, like, yeah, you could have a backyard with small multifamily, but it's less of like a forever home. So that could be something.
Yeah, you'll have more turnover, but you also have other units that pay your mortgage. So it's a different, it's like with the single family, it's like, well, I'll have less turnover, but when I do have turnover, I'm gonna have a major shortfall in paying that mortgage. Small multifamily, it's like, well, might have more turnover, but I'm probably going to pay my mortgage a lot of the time, and I might not have that shortfall, depending on your numbers, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks, Jeffrey. Appreciate that. Yeah, because that's more, yeah, understanding exactly what you're getting into. You're not going in blind. Like 100-year-old property is going to be a shit show in terms of like electrical stuff potentially if it's not dealt with immediately. Okay, so that's good to keep in mind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one quick one that I've heard and been told is to know your exit strategy, right? So if it shits the fan and things don't work out the way you wanted to, which may happen, I guess, if you don't prepare enough for what you're doing, but you know, anything could happen. And I've been told, you know your exit strategy, right? Like what would it take, or have the reserve enough to be able to continue paying the mortgage until you can sell it off? You know, you have enough for whatever the closing cost may be, things like that, you know. Personally, I like to very conservative with my underwriting and with precautions, pretty adverse to risk. So I try to make sure I'm able to, I have all my ducks in a row and I can pay for anything that might go wrong, if it does, right? So yeah, that's one thing that I've heard that I hadn't heard before when I started buying. Fortunately, it wasn't an issue for me, but I hear it a lot now. It's basically have an exit strategy in case things don't go your way. See what that might look like.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so for me in that example, a small multifamily, things don't go my way. Like, what if there's a really long vacancy? You got to have the reserves in place in order to float that. Another one could be, yeah, major expenses, more reserves. I'm curious what other exit strategies could be a possibility, you know, like maybe turning it into a medium or short-term rental. So
maybe turn it into a different type, or rent it by the room type of thing too, right? A lot of people are doing that now to force cash flow, and that's actually something I'm thinking of doing now too, because almost nothing cash flows, at least not in my area. But if I can turn it into a rent by room situation, then I start seeing some come in. But I still underwrite it to the extent where I can at least break even if I have to rent it as a long-term rental. But yeah, you got the right idea, exactly. Just try different strategies, see what they look like in your market.
So one of the things I'm really excited about, and I'm still hesitant if I would do this, I recently became a recruiter for people in healthcare for travel contracts. So I would potentially hire the nurse, and if they wanted to, I would have a medium-term rental available. So I would get commission off of them getting a job, and I get a 13-week contract of them actually living there too. That would be pretty insane, but it was definitely getting my gears turning in my mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, next. Yeah, I would say other things like you're saying is that also look at your potential clientele. It's by looking at the neighborhoods, see the turnover. I know for mine, it's I have small multi, and it's one of those where do they have access to the like a few blocks away from local transit if they don't drive, and if they and if the people there are long-term holders, whether they're renters or buyers, that's a big thing, and seeing what they all do for jobs. I know Dion talks about that a lot too. So, and then also look for oh, sorry, go ahead.
That's like that.
Yeah, I was just saying, just also now I'm learning is look where your water goes. So I'm learning about flooding and all that fun stuff.
Especially in Washington.
Yeah, especially Washington.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Don't want to see a basement flood out without you knowing.
I think all of those are great tips. I have to say, even, and you're in the right spot, right? Asking all these questions, getting everybody else's experience, and a lot of people will mention things you had never thought of. Even with all of that, there's going to be challenges. And I think you mentioned the reserves is like the most important thing, because if you don't have the reserves to get you through that rough spot, it could discourage you and knock you out of the race. So that's a big one. But yeah,
I was thinking like I'm gonna have around 8 months from now. I'm literally kind of burning the candle from both ends at the moment, where I'm trying to work 7 days a week, 2 days at a restaurant on the weekends, and then I have my regular day job. Trying to have the reserves of around like 65K, maybe even more at that point, and then I'll put 5% down on maybe something that's 350 or something like that, 300, 350, and that'd be like maybe a down payment of like 20,000 to 25,000. I'm not sure what that math was, but yeah, then having like at least like 20 or 30, like I don't know my risk tolerance yet, because I haven't gone through it, but I want to start from a strong financial position just in case. Like if I have 20 or 30 grand extra, if anything happens, I'll probably be able to cover it. So
yeah, that sounds like a pretty good way to start. Pretty safe numbers. And to, like Santiago was saying, I think underwriting, that's super critical. And I mean, sometimes I guess you could be a little too cautious, but if you do it conservatively, and I think more times than not, you'll be pleasantly surprised once the deal's done and the real numbers are better than you were expecting. So
yeah,
some good things do happen in real estate too.
Yeah, I'll be setting like 15% aside for all the reserves. So 5% for vacancy, 5% for CapEx, and 5% for repairs. So I think that's pretty conservative. Not sure where that lies.
If I can add one thing too, is kind of going to the question. I don't know if I heard the phrasing properly, but you said how do you know when you're ready? Sort of, I think that was kind of like the question. The way I kind of understand it is like when I always bought single family properties, and then I moved to a multifamily. It's a small multifamily, 3-family unit, and honestly, I never really felt ready per se. Right.
Yeah.
So like I was still scared to do that. But what I kind of used as my measuring stick to know when to kind of pull the trigger, so to speak, was I had done the research, right? I understood the financials, the consequences of things going wrong, what the value add propositions are, and what the market rates are in the area for the rents, right? So those off the top of my head, some of the things that I knew down packed that what I was working with. And then I was like, okay, now it's just me being scared, and
yeah,
I just had to make that leap. So sometimes you can confuse not being ready by just being a little bit scared of making that move. So, I didn't feel ready, but I think it was just a matter of me being scared. So that's worth.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Cause yeah, the mental aspect is like half, if not over half of that, that obstacle to hop over, and especially the first one. So, and I know I've heard hundreds of times that once you do the first one, after that, you understand a little bit more. So, yeah, all great stuff. Thanks, guys.
I was thinking something. And the other thing too is like a few of us have done. You're welcome to bring a deal to us, right? And say, this is how I ran the numbers. This is what I'm thinking. And sometimes something weird will come up. Like I was talking to an investor the other day who was buying a turnkey, not Chester, but another guy. He was buying a turnkey, and we were talking about inspections and stuff. And he didn't even think to get an inspection. He was thinking that everything was done by the turnkey provider. So just talking through it,
Yeah.
he realized his mistake. And things like some people had never considered sewer lateral inspections, or like we were fortunate enough to buy a couple of properties cash. And I talked about this a few days ago, but when we're buying cash, when you're buying with financing, the mortgage company is on you for, to get insurance, right? So it's automatic because it's going to be escrowed in. But when we paid cash for a property, they didn't care if we had insurance because we didn't have a loan. So the property was sitting for a couple of days without insurance because it just popped into my head after we closed. Oh crap, we need insurance. So,
Yeah.
Little things like that. And so again, just talking through it, if you want to bring it into the group or whatever other groups you might be in, and just run through it, because everybody thinks of different things, that are important to them that may be not important to somebody else. But, like the crime thing and talking through that, and inspections and financing, and, my lender is charging me this much for my loan and things like that. People all have different experiences. So I think that could help give you some, I guess, a little bit of more understanding so that you can, I guess, verify that you ran the deal the right way and that you're thinking about things the right way.
Yeah, that's
even
great.
though we're all a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean, even tonight, if we have time, I don't know how long you guys usually go, but I can hop on my laptop real quick and I can pull that deal up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see if anybody else has anything to say. Hi, Lynn. It's good to see you.
Hi, Frank and everybody. I
Hi.
just want to share a little bit about our experience. We almost bought, just like before the event, Las Vegas event last year, we almost bought a house like in 1922. But then we done the inspection on the sewer and also the house foundation, everything. It's costed about 1,400 for that. But then we so lucky that the inspector was so good that we found out a lot of problem about the electrical problem and other stuff. So we have a chance to talk to the seller, but we didn't do the deal just because the seller didn't agree to take back that, the fixing with the dealing with those stuff. But I think just like Lumberjack said, that the inspection is so important, because if we end up buying that deal, I don't know what we have to dealing with.
Yeah, and a building that old, I mean, probably knob and tube wiring and what, clay pipe, maybe cast iron pipe, things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So inspections are super important. And Casey talks about they don't always do, Casey from Brick by Brick Wealth, they don't always do inspections, but her and her husband do all their own work, so they're experienced that way, right? But on this last deal she did get an inspection, but her main reason for the inspection was so that she could negotiate the price down a bit. she was hoping they might find some small things wrong with the house so they could get a discount. And
That's awesome.
yeah, and they did. They got a discount, the seller's fixing stuff and giving him credit towards closing and all that good stuff. So yeah.
And also when we bought the duplex that we have, we didn't know anything, and it was scary moment. And always like we feel like we enter something that we don't know, even though we do research and then we analyze all the number, but it still have a lot of steps that we don't know what to do. And also like what happened was we bought a turnkey property. However, when they do the work, they didn't have the permit for the electrical. We still have to deal with that.
Oh, dang. Whoa.
Yeah, so I mean, if whoever buy the people when they remodel, it looked really nice, you know, but it just like they didn't have the permit. So and then they didn't file that. What happened was we split the meter, the water meter, so that the inspector for that water meter found out that there's something about electrical that we didn't get the permit, and also the stay as well. But the inspector was nice enough to say, hey, this one we can, they can let us like for 2 years to finish that. So
Did they tell you what do you have to do to get the electrical signed off?
What we have to do, Shan? Like Chen would know better than me, but we have to, because the wire have to mix the old and the new one. So that's why they just have to. Chen would know better. Yes.
Okay.
Hey, Frank.
Hey, Chan. Hi.
All right. Yeah. So the biggest thing is that they didn't pull any permits, and there's a mix of old and new wiring, and that was kind of the main issue. So the city inspector is put a stipulation in our rental license that we have to get it cleared by the state electrical inspector within the next couple of years. So we'll have to hire an electrician to go through it and make sure everything's up to code. So that includes arc fault breakers, pigtailing the grounds and all the outlets and so on. So it's probably gonna run us a couple $1,000s to get that straightened out. I mean, it's gonna be $1,000 just in breakers.
Yeah,
because those are pricey.
Yeah, the arc fault breakers are pricey. I was going to ask Jeffrey that earlier when he was here, but arc fault breakers are really sensitive, even when the homes are new, right? Because here in California, on new construction, they want arc fault breakers on most of the circuits, but they're so sensitive. You know, sometimes you'll plug in a vacuum and just the vacuum motor starting will trip the breaker. So I was curious because in an older home, those circuits aren't, well, like you said, they have new to old, and where those connections are made, you know, it seems like that would cause more tripping than anything would.
I don't know about that because we this all happened within about a week of us having our tenants move in.
Oh, okay.
So it was basically 1 week left where we had that inspection come through, and that created sort of a landslide effect of all these issues that came up regarding so what she was talking about, the inspector noticed the steps for the basement stairs were framed not to code for the rise and run, and then the landing area was too small.
Okay.
So then, he was good enough to go through it and talk to me and work with us about it. We do have to fix it, but it's just going to take some time. The other issue with the electrical is there's a shared neutral between a pair of circuits.
Okay.
And so, a circuit will go out with 2 hots to run 2 separate circuits, but then they'll share a neutral. And that apparently doesn't work with single pole arc fault breakers. So you have
Right.
to get dual pole arc fault breakers, which are a lot harder to come by.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's making a lot of sense. But it's nice that he's willing to work with you. I always tell people, when they're wondering if they should get a permit or not, it's always better to start off the right way. And they're so helpful if you do. But if you try to sneak things by them, you're just going to have trouble, And I
Yeah,
think
the first
go ahead.
exactly. The first time the inspector and I talked, he was yeah. I mean, he was pretty accusatory of me without knowing the situation, that we had just purchased the place. It's like,
Okay.
why didn't you get permits? This is wrong. You got to get permits. Like, well, I explained to him, we just got the place a few weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
And then after we talked and this and that, he was like, he's trying to make a case to go after the flippers.
Oh, uh-huh.
And go after their business entity, but I'm not sure that that's going to go anywhere because.
Mhm. Yeah, that was one of my thoughts too. It's like they seems like they should be liable for some of it, selling the property without having pulled the permit. So that might be worth pursuing.
Well, it comes down to a he said, she said, he said situation. There's date codes on a lot of the materials that they used, but the date code is before they, have records to show that they own the property. So, if things lined up better, that the material was manufactured while they owned the property, then that would be a clear cut sort of slam dunk. But there's a time delay in that, and so it's not clear. If they wanted to, they could say, no, we didn't do that.
Okay.
It's hard for us to say otherwise.
Okay.
We know that they did, but what we can prove is another situation. Oh, and they didn't pay any of their bills.
Right.
So
we got a bill like $600.
So we got
for the water.
gas bills and water bills in their name. That
Oh no.
Yeah, no,
Well-
we figured that out, but it's just hectic.
Yeah.
Yeah, just take some time to do it.
So I was overhearing. The gentleman was saying, "When are you ready?"
You're never ready.
Yeah, my contention is that you're never ready, but
You just
you
do it.
won't know until you take the leap.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what you're talking about, I really appreciate you guys being here, because that's kind of what we were telling him. You did everything right, and then after the fact, after you took ownership, then these things come up, and it's you got to have the reserves. That's going to help a ton. And I guess, what do they say about trying to solve problems with honey instead of salt, or I don't know what the saying is.
You catch
don't
more
know that
honeys with flies than with vinegar.
There you go.
Oh, here you go, Chester.
Yeah. So I even still to this day, I've been remodeling homes for 30 plus years now. I always act dumb when I go to the planning department, and they're more than helpful. But if you go in there telling them, you know what you're doing, and I don't agree with your this or that, and you're just not going to get anywhere.
Right.
I guess one thing that I would do differently if I had to go back to before this started, and maybe this is, I don't know, take this as advice or whatever, is if there's work that's been obviously done in the last handful of years to a property that you're looking at, I think it'd be wise to go to the city and see if they can tell you if there's any records of permits being pulled. Right. I mean, if it's an older house and it doesn't look like it's been recently updated or remodeled, but if there's obvious work that's been done, maybe try to see if you can pull up, see if permits were pulled for any of that, and then maybe that'll kind of tell you what kind of person you're dealing with.
Yeah, that's a great idea too. And actually, the home we're under contract for right now, That's what I'm doing too, because it's a 3-1. It used to be a 3-2 with the bathroom in the basement, but before the home went up for sale, they took the bathroom out. So there's still rough plumbing down there. So I'm trying to find out if they did the rough plumbing with permits. That way, if we want to turn it back into a 3-2, it'll be easier that way. But yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, and it never occurred to me to go to the level of trying to see if permits were there. I thought we got an inspection, inspectors. I mean, that's what they do, but inspectors aren't perfect. We use the same inspection company for the first duplex that we looked at that we decided not to get, and we thought they did an excellent job. But it was a different inspector with the same company that did this one, and there were things that they missed.
All right.
And they even refund
Yeah, we were able to get a refund on
because they didn't see is that the HVAC?
Yeah, there was a number of things that they didn't catch that were, in hindsight, pretty obvious. A professional inspector should have.
So they refunded your inspection cost? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh,
they did.
okay.
And that just covered one of the smaller repairs.
Okay, good. Yeah, this is exciting stuff. Always learning, right?
Yeah. But we're 2 months in, 3 months, 2 months. And no major issues. Hopefully it stays that way. So kind of yeah.
Yeah, the tenants
in a better position now than I think we were a couple months ago.
I think the most important thing, if you already purchased the house, is if we decided to manage ourselves, and then we screening the tenants as well. It's kind of helpful. We know who they. I mean, it's kind of lucky that they're not a troublemaker as well. That they don't call us often. They just tell us, like, we have to fix stuff, but just like when we need it, we have to go there. Other than that, they don't, they didn't ask for anything crazy.
Yeah, that's good. And I mean, well, you're lucky. You're right there in your same area that you're investing in, which is definitely helpful. Because managing, I mean, our story with 5 different property managers, it's a challenge keeping an eye on all of them. But hopefully, like you said, over time that they'll know what you like. Well, my property manager will understand how I like to work and understand. I don't just want to keep the properties in basically good condition. I want them in nice condition, right? So we're going to be fixing things that they wouldn't normally think of fixing. I just got the report back today on this one. So there's going back to Matt's course, I was even thinking of switching all the outlets to the Decora style, and the flat panel rocker switches. They might think it's silly. The property manager might think it's silly. But when a tenant in that market comes to look at our rental, it's going to stand out, right? Even like in the bedrooms, putting in outlets that have USB charging ports, or just to update it, because the homes were built in the 40s and 50s, right? They didn't have anything close to that back then. So I think little touches like that, and they all have what do they call them? Boob lights? Is that what Dion calls them? Boob lights? So, just changing the bedroom lights to a nice flat LED looking more modern, just to set it apart from all the other rentals in the areas would be something I would like to do. So that's what we're going to try on this one.
That's what we did too. So they remodeled everything, like 98% of everything, and then they just left some yellowish is it the
outlets,
the outlet switch,
and then they just left some of the old outlets but painted them white. So it was a mishmash of different outlets and switches, colors, almond, white, all kinds of stuff. It looked bad.
Yeah.
So we went through and we replaced them all, which was a lot of work, but in the end, I think it was worth it. But that did catch the eye of the inspector, and that was kind of problematic too. Because some of the outlets were a a two-prong outlet, and you can't buy those anymore. So you have to put in a three-prong outlet, and then they consider that an upgrade, which technically requires a permit.
With your three-prong outlets, were you able to ground them? Did they have a ground
Yeah.
wire?
Yep. Well, because they're run with conduit, metal conduit.
Okay.
So that was able to provide ground. So I put grounding pigtails in all the metal boxes.
Okay.
And that brings it up to code. In theory, we have yet to see whether or not the inspector has anything to say about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you probably have a tester now, but if it tests grounded, that's all they're going to check. They're going to plug in their little light, and if it's grounded, you're good.
Yes. However, now that they know that there's issues, if they decided to have a box opened up to see what's going on inside, then it's a lot of unknown and speculation, but they can do what they want to inspect, right?
Yeah. I think I was able to get two-prong outlets at Home Depot last time because we had the same issue. The homeowner had put in all three-prong, but they didn't have a ground wire, so we had to change them all back because it was probably a home we remodeled for one of the agents that we work with, and I can't remember. I know I got them because we couldn't have passed our inspection without.
Okay.
I just don't know if it was Home Depot or out here we have a company called Platt Electric, PLATT, and it's like a commercial electrical supply house, but
yeah.
And if they don't have them, I rely on Amazon a lot, so we'll just order stuff on there too sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of good information. You guys are learning a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely kind of drinking from the fire hose type situation.
That was your first property?
Yeah, first property. Yep.
Yeah, that's a lot to go through for a first property.
Oh, we haven't really given you all of it either yet.
Might as well get it out of the way,
Yeah.
This is like campfire talk. This is really fun.
So their major issue we had was that I don't know if Lynn brought this up before, but we had issues with the air conditioners. They were both installed within the last 2 years. So the serial numbers and date codes on the units are from 2022 on both units, but they were both installed so poorly that one compressor burnt out and the other one lost all of its refrigerant. So luckily we were able to get the compressor covered under warranty, although maybe we shouldn't have after we found out the actual culprit of it. But even with that being covered under warranty, I think we're out like $3,500 on the labor
Both sides.
to repair both air conditioning units.
And the reason for what is that called? The compressor run out just because they didn't turn on or close the valve or something.
They didn't open one of the valves properly when they did the install. So it's stuff that you kind of shake your head about. But what I've learned, one of the things that I've learned is that the work that contractors do reflects the expectations of the owners. If the owners don't give a shit, the contractors won't give a shit, and you'll get shitty work even from contractors. So, excuse my language.
Yeah, I said perfectly.
I forget what it's called, but basically it's like essentially the concept of leadership starts at the top. Like if you think about like in like a business or organization, if like the CEO is like really like demanding or whatever the case may be, or what's a good phrase, like firm but fair, where they basically are setting that tone, that of course is going to permeate through the C-suite. Then that of course goes through, all the vice presidents and then so on and so forth, all the way down to the line managers and then the line staff. So it really is that, it starts at the top mindset or mentality.
Yeah, very much the case. And the guys that came out and did the work were good, but I was there and observant, and they noticed that. So they were kind of telling me what they were doing the whole way through. So
Yeah.
I knew exactly what they were
Nice.
doing, and it made sense to me that they were doing the work properly and doing it well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So sorry that we took up so much of your time.
No, we're
it's
glad you're
great.
here. This is what it's all about, and well, maybe but we usually go 3 to 4 hours. So we still have a couple hours to go.
Oh.
But no, for you guys back in your time zone, that gets pretty late. But
Yeah.
Chester always is a trooper, and he's with us till midnight.
I usually pay for it in the morning, but it's a lot of valuable stuff.
Yeah, I think well, I guess you could call them horror stories, but I think it's valuable, and I think one of the most valuable parts about it is that you're going through all this and you're not letting it stop you.
Yep.
I think that's awesome.
If we didn't learn from it, that would be the biggest mistake.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Cynthia and I have had our issues with our properties, but the last few that we've purchased have gone very well, and that's kind of kept us in the race, because we've had challenges we have an old building like you guys do. I think ours was built in 1904, and it was just one big Victorian, and they divided it up into 3 2-1s. And when we bought it, these are things I've learned, and I feel, I don't know, stupid sometimes about it, but there was only one heater in the place. Some of you have heard my story, but there was one heater, and it was controlled by the downstairs unit. So the 2 people in the upper 2 units had to live with however cold or however hot that person was. And so we just renovated the place. We put mini splits in the upper 2 units so they can control their own heat. They also have new wall furnaces. We did flooring, obviously, LVP, and some carpet in the bedrooms, paint, and some cabinetry, and that bill was $30,000. So my first thought was, should we sell it before we spend 30 on it? But Cynthia's like, no, let's do do the remodel and keep it. So we kept it. And the other challenge with that one is, even though the 2 units had just been remodeled, today it's been almost 2 months that those units were vacant. And I would have thought they were fresh remodels. We're going to get tenants right away. But today we got the good news that they have tenants for both of those units. So, hopefully we'll start getting some of that money back. But yeah, I mean,
awesome.
And you guys too probably have heard when I started the channel, the Old Guy REI thing, it was to share all these experiences. And in the beginning, I've said, I hope that people don't see all these videos and think, what an idiot this guy is. I hope they see that, this is how they're working through it, and they're still in the game. So that's what I'm hoping people take away, but you never know. So yeah, so I appreciate you guys sharing that kind of stuff too.
Thank you.
I think some of the people that are with us are still working. I know Mikey might still be working. Sometimes Pat is driving home from work. Jack's probably working. So,
No, I'm actually off tonight. I'm just being quiet.
oh, okay. Jack.
When are you quiet, Jack?
Just taking in all of the knowledge of you guys.
Yeah, so are you all moved into your place now? What's going on with you?
No, I kind of got slowed down with a few other things that are going on. But my goal for this month is to finish getting moved in. I want to try and reschedule that live stream have with you and have you as like the official first guest of the new studio.
Oh,
or
awesome.
vice versa.
Mhm.
And I want to install 3 doors that I had to custom build. I just finished the framing for them. I need to cut the doors, install them, get the carpeting and everything ripped out, get rid of the cat pee smell, get some ozone purifiers going, hire the movers, get them all the stuff from my unit put into the other unit, so when the people collect the flooring, they can just take all that garbage with them too. And what else? There's something else. Yeah, but that's my goal for all of the rest of August and September to get all that stuff done. I was working on that while you guys were talking, making my to-do list for the next couple months.
Oh, good. So where are you staying now? Did you say you were with your parents?
I stay at my parents' between work shifts because it's only a few miles down the road.
Oh,
And
okay.
then I'll stay with Cynthia on my days off. And sometimes if I'm taking care of her dad, I'll stay with him for like once or twice a week.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of all over the place.
Yeah, well, it'll all come together. It sounds like I think you popped in for a second, Pat. Are you driving? Are you home? How you doing?
Good. Yeah, no, I'm actually I'm house sitting for a friend.
Oh.
So I just got here tonight and got all the animals taken care of as I was listening to everybody. Just on the last couple, and I'm sorry I forgot your names off the top of my head, but it's super helpful for a new investor that's just starting out to hear stories like that, and learning from other people's experience is super beneficial on the decisions we make and how we proceed forward, and us make those decisions. So first, thank you. So second, where I'm at, I just as you know, Frank, joined Matt's course. So I've been trying to kind of go through that. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, that's great. Congratulations on that course. You're going to get so much out of that. And two, what you were saying about, hearing the stories and stuff. So it doesn't scare you away. Hearing the bad.
Yeah. I'm in a little bit different position, and a very, very blessed position than a lot of people. It's looking into, it's about making the right decisions, and I'm probably being more cautious than I should. Doing the work is where I've been struggling. My goal, and currently, obviously, I think most of us are watching what the market's doing. We're all followers of Zuber, of Dion, of Matt, of Mike. I think those are probably the people that we really follow. Then we recognize the markets, has shifted right now. I mean, the stuff that I'm following, I see them sitting on market way longer than were 6 to 10 months ago. So it feels like the iron's hot a little bit in regards to how long that lasts. I have no idea. I mean, if they drop interest rates in September, potentially there'll be more competition. I'm looking. My buy box is different. I'm strictly looking for multifamily for a house hack. I'm in a good position of good W-2 job, good reserves, and 401k or 457, and I have a sizable cash to deploy right now. It's just a matter of making sure I don't make a mistake. And I realize you're going to have to pull the trigger at one point. Don't get me wrong. I understand that, but I know I don't understand as much yet. So it's making that, the correct decision. And, again, like Dion says, getting RBIs, get somebody home and you score. But, it's that tempering that RBI to a second, third, or home run type of hit, and understanding which balls to swing at. That's where I'm at, Frank.
Yeah, no, it's great to see you. Are you planning on going back this February to Vegas?
So I bought the ticket the first day.
Okay.
Absolutely. I need to commit. Part of it is motivation on my part. Again, I retired already once. I have a pension, and a decent pension that I'm kind of lean fire with my pension. I'm working on a second one right now that will take care of my medical. And in 10 months, that'll be taken care of. And part of my story, again, to make it super quick, is, divorced dad, just got full custody of my kids, just completely focused on taking care of them. Paid, for all their college, got that done. And now I'm sitting at 54 with, a decent pension, but zero assets. And this is the asset that I think is the best to invest in. But understanding that asset, this, again, nobody knows. I'm a police officer, did 25 years before I retired. Now I'm a bailiff. I'm coming up on almost finishing my 5 years of doing that. And it's the same thing of becoming a cop, understanding, that being a cop wasn't my chosen career. It's not something that I necessarily wanted to do, but it paid my bills and supported my family and did everything I wanted to do. But I had to learn how to do it, and I didn't love it necessarily. I enjoyed it. Real estate's the same. And just to go on, Frank, on your video the other day about, do you love real estate? Well, not really necessarily, but I understand that it's, it's a means to an end. And again, I'm just trying to understand it and get to that point of basically what I just did a 30-year career in law enforcement, of understanding, hey, this is the next field, and it'll supplement my retirement and obviously help me tremendously in things I want to do.
Yeah, and you're in California too, so that
I'm 2 hours up the road from you.
Yep, that presents a bunch of challenges in itself.
Oh, absolutely. A high cost of living area, and a very less than friendly landlord state.
Yeah.
So,
I think well, like you said about your situation, I think you're sitting in a great spot. And I think, not that, like you said, also, you don't want to take any unnecessary risks, but I think you're in a good position to find that first deal and get it and learn through that, just like Lynn and Chan are doing. They're in Minnesota, and we met
their
them.
story was great. And I so appreciate being able to hear their story and listening to it. Yeah, it's just amazing. And again, it encourages people like me that are not necessarily putting in the work that I need to get to where they are, which is just getting on the property ladder. So, but again, I pulled the trigger on Saturday with Matt's course. I'm excited. I've been, I think I'm on module 2, listening to that on my commute to my sucker of dreams, called a day job. That's kind of where I'm at. So.
Yeah. Like I said, you definitely want to get in on all the boot camps if you can. And obviously they're recorded and stuff, but I think all the value, just like with any of the guys, being with them in person, Dion in the members only, and Matt in the boot camp, and Zuber when he comes on school. I think he was saying he might do some Sunday lives in the mornings. So since the groups are so small and Matt's only taking 15 people, right? So you guys are going to have all the chance to get your questions answered in person. That's really, really valuable.
Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to it. So it's one of those things of pushing myself to get engaged, and just like being here now, you'd think that as a police officer talking to people all the time, I would be comfortable doing that, and I am when I put the monkey suit on. But the reality is, I'm a complete introvert.
No, I know, and I was going to mention it, but this is a big step for you. I know it is, and you know, just from meeting you last year and you telling us that, and every week, you know, you haven't come on screen, but we really appreciate that, and hopefully, it's going to be your new future. You'll be talking more than all of us pretty soon.
We'll definitely probably asking a lot more questions. So again,
Yeah.
Thanks, Frank. I appreciate all that you do and doing this group. So.
Of course, thank you so much. Glad you're
We're
here.
gonna see you with at a lumberjack course as well.
Oh,
I mean,
great.
yes. So because I decided to register to the class, and then I learned some. I think the course, I didn't do the boot camp yet, but you know, the course really helpful. I wish that I did it, you know, before even I purchased any property. It's gonna be so helpful to prepare like every step, because looking at what Matt, like Lumberjack, did on his course, like just lay out every single step for whatever you need.
Yeah, thank you. I just, again, I'm right where how he evaluates his rent, which is I think the second module. So I'm just in the beginning stages of listening to it, but I did the boot camp, so hopefully that starts up in, I think, the end of September.
Actually, I just finished the second module, but I just feel like because we just finished the first rental, and then I look at that, I just say, oh my God, this is so good. I told Jen doesn't have time to do much of the learning and thing, but I tell Jen like, this worth so much money, because we went to other, you know, with not you know, just other investing that we learned some education from them, but you know, like this one, I feel like that the best value that I can receive.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the same thing about, you know, Frank doing this accountability group that obviously got absorbed in a school, and I'll give Frank all the credit for starting it in the beginning, right after Zuber's Las Vegas 50,000 event. And it's yeah, just the encouragement that you get from people is just it's crazy good.
Frank is amazing.
Yeah,
you know how we train. We have to fix a tub that they fix everything except the tub, and then Jen have to talk with Frank about how to fix that.
Yeah, they
Then
came
we
out
don't have
fixed.
to we have to paint it instead of rip it off, because everything is like everything new except the tub, right? Remember that, Frank?
Yep, and it came out very nice. You guys did awesome
Yes.
work.
Thanks. That Jen did it. I took the picture. I mean, actually, he took the picture.
Yeah, that's awesome. And did I already ask you guys, Lynn? You guys going back this year to Vegas?
We planning to. However, we just have to arrange something before we you know, to decide how things go, because Chen doing try to finish his mom basement right now.
Oh, okay.
So and some other stuff. So we just need to figure out a time, but we really love to go.
Yeah, that would be awesome to see you again.
Yeah, we'd love to see you and everybody.
Yeah, there's quite a few more people. I was surprised that I think Zuber was talking about so far there's only like 75 tickets sold or something like that. If I heard him correctly, I thought they would go a little faster than that, but obviously there's plenty of time. So that's a good thing. And go ahead.
Sorry. I'm just wondering how many tickets he have out for.
Yeah,
total.
so he had like 325 of the regular tickets and 125 of the VIP.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you
So-
get VIP, Frank? Or
Yeah, we got VIP.
nice.
Mikey got VIP, Chester's VIP, Cody's VIP.
My recommendation is
That's VIP. Awesome.
get the VIP.
Okay.
Get the VIP. It is
Yeah.
more than worth it to be in that room with all of the weekly contributors, let's call them. It's more than worth it. I mean, just last year, just talking to Casey, and everybody is down to earth. Everybody is down to earth.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Talking. I think Frank, we were at the same table when we were talking with Casey and her husband last year.
Right.
I think right before they went on stage, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. So
Yeah, they really are
definitely-
down to earth,
I'll
and
dovetail on. Sorry.
what's
Frank.
that?
I was going to say I'll dovetail on what Chester just said. It's worth going is the bottom line. It just the listening to everything, but the networking opportunities, which I obviously didn't take as much advantage of as I should have, but it's worth it. You'll get the value to going is tremendous. So.
Yeah, and I mean, like Pat, I mean, you just started talking to us while we were there at that event for, I forget what's his name, Chester. The Friday or Saturday Pineda.
Ryan Pineda.
Oh,
yeah,
Ryan
the
Pineda,
Pineda. Yeah.
So that's where we met Pat, and that was just awesome. I just really, you guys are just our family now. I like you a lot better than my original family, so let me put it that way. But yeah, you're right. I mean, just the value and the networking, and we know now better this year that the networking was the most valuable part. I mean, the speakers were great. Personally, for me, not every speaker was talking about something I was interested in. So then we would zoom out and go talk with everybody else and, make connections that way. It was really, really special.
Does anybody know if Brian Pineda is doing that again this year?
I don't think so. I think if he does, none of us will be there.
Yeah, the main thing, what is he, like half an hour late to his own event or something crazy?
Something like
It
that.
was like the disrespect and like I think Zuber had put it best when he summarized that Pineda thought that we were all just kind of there to be quote unquote fanboys and fangirls of his, and we were actually like not super critical, but we were like, hey, here's a legit question. And he was like kind of thrown off and taken aback. Like he wasn't prepared for it. And he like went on the defensive. And so like when I asked my question of like, okay, I see where you're going with, break out of the the W-2 mindset and into the entrepreneur mindset. How do you bridge that gap? And it was clear he was unprepared for that. He was just like, when I say fishing, I mean, it took like 10, 15 minutes to answer that question. And I still don't think I got an answer.
Yikes.
He
Yeah,
didn't
it was
understand
bad.
his audience.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a better way of putting it, Pat. Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
sounds like Friday we're doing axe throwing.
That
well,
would be
if we
cool.
can get Dion there, and I would highly recommend everybody that's here and anybody else, obviously, is recorded, but the midnight
Yes, the Denny's meetup.
meetups.
I wish I made
I
that.
went to the first one, and I went with my kids, so we did a lot of Vegas. My kids are adults, so now, and so we actually did adult. I did adulting with my kids, which was a lot of fun, and I would never give that up. But this next year, I'm probably going to go by myself, so it'll be a priority to be at those Denny's meetups, and it's just again that networking. You cannot put a price tag on the ability to be able to have somebody's contact that you could reach out to and ask a question, and everyone is is so helpful that it's unbelievable.
Yeah, we hear that constantly, just about the whole group, not just the REI Avengers or anything like that, but everybody in this group is just willing to help and wishing everybody else the best. There's no, I don't know, it's just unbelievable, but it's a great thing.
Oh, hey, do you guys mind if I share something real quick? I just got an email.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, go for it.
For those of you that don't know, I got a little YouTube channel. I just got an email that said that it's over 2,400 views.
Wow.
Nice.
Awesome.
The shorts, I guess, is what's really boosting it.
Oh yeah. Shorts, yeah. If you like the best way I've heard it described, basically, it's almost kind of like a leads funnel, and the best leads for YouTube videos are shorts. And so if you can figure out a way to like really pair them well, so like the YouTube short, usually like, I don't know, 30, 45 seconds or something like that, if it basically serves as like a quote unquote cliffhanger or really good lead in, that will like seriously start driving eyeballs to your videos. So
yeah, that's what I've heard as well. That's the next thing I'm trying to learn. The YouTube was a challenge in itself, but I'm glad I could be here with you guys. Last year I wouldn't have known how to get on a Zoom call.
And now you're hosting them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, quick question.
Sorry, go ahead.
Just a completely different change of subject, but on Dion's members only last night, it was about the Chandler David Smith. Hopefully, I got his name correct. His calculator, and there potentially being an error. Has there been any? Do you guys know of any follow up if that's true or not? I mean, I was driving, listening to it, and it was a little bit hard for me to follow, but.
I didn't get to be there last night. I'm not sure. You mean an error in the way they were calculating numbers?
No, actually, the calculator itself being an error. Chester, you were there, I think, right?
I'm trying to remember about what the error was. Go ahead.
And I don't recall either. Because again, I was driving and listening to it.
Mm-hmm.
Dion was going to bring it to Matt because Matt's he's a genius, basically. And for him to kind of look it over. So I was kind of a little bit of follow-up because I do use that calculator, and I was just like have a little concern if that's not, if it's spewing out incorrect numbers, that's a problem.
Yeah, I would be nervous.
Okay, that answers my question. Nobody knows. Well, I'll wait. I'll be patient and wait. Thank you.
Is Dion's members only the YouTube, or is it on his site?
Yeah, so he's got he's got the YouTube members only, and then he's also got the course lives as well.
Gotcha.
The members only, he does a Zoom link, so you can stay on YouTube and watch it, but then he also goes onto Zoom, and then he'll end YouTube, and then there'll be a discussion like this offline that's not recorded that can sometimes have better information. How about that? Less filtered information.
There you go. I like that.
So it can be, you're probably better off, and unfortunately I'm usually not able to log in on the Zoom. I just watch it from YouTube, but the few times that I have been able to get on the Zoom call itself, I would highly recommend doing that. And you can, again, and Dion says this himself, if you're not a member of his channel, he says he goes, I don't care about the money, and I'm kind of paraphrasing. He goes, do the lowest membership possible, which is like $2.99 a month.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad you had mentioned that. When I did the membership gifting or whatever, I'm glad you had said that. It was like $4.99 or something like that. So I don't know if YouTube had like automatically adjusted prices or what, but I know Dion had asked me to text him, so I'm gonna shoot him a text. I think probably in the morning because, well, I mean, it's only 8:30 Pacific. Um, but I'm like starting to fade. But I'm glad you
I
mentioned
don't
that.
think it matters what time you text him. You're going to interrupt his nap time
Yeah.
anyway.
Well, no, it's not nap time for him. I'm sure he's slaying dragons on
That's
some
right, World of
online group
Warcraft.
with
Right.
other people. So there's probably, and he's probably about a 2.0 blood alcohol level.
The water that makes his eyes water.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Jealous.
Yeah, matter of fact, I'll go ahead and text him now and tell him while we are on live.
Well, on that
But
note,
yeah,
thanks again, Frank. I'm going to sign off for the night. I'll see you all. Well, I'll see you tomorrow on Matt's.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, Pat. Thanks for jumping in. Great to see
All
you.
right, I appreciate it. Thanks again,
alrighty,
Frank.
Pat.
Bye, Chester.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
anybody got anything else? Are we gonna?
One last thing, and this was a fun story that I found out today, was also double check your PM if you are going to use PMs. Mine gave me a contract to look at that, the tenants were going to sign. They gave them a different one by accident. So for late fees, mine said $50 for late. The one that they got was for $0. So
Oh.
I've been getting paid late, and so thankfully my PM's making it right. But it was just be sure that you just double check your PMs all the time.
Yeah, that's a great point. Cynthia and I were just talking about that because, putting in offers and stuff, we get stuff sent via DocuSign, right? To sign offers and whatever's coming through. And I'm just like, sign. I'm not reading anything. But then, so she also has to sign it on her email. And she goes through it and she's got questions, what's this, what's that? And I go, oh, I didn't see that. Where did you find that? So, yeah, I mean, I trust the people, but you're right. They can make mistakes too. So that's a good point.
Yeah. No, it's just an honest mistake, but it's like,
Yeah.
I'm glad they owned up to it though. So
Yeah. Lucky. How many properties do you have with them?
Just the one, but I'm looking at getting another right now. So yeah, the missus is thinking about moving to Ohio, so we might be getting a multi to house
Oh,
hack. So
great.
yeah. So
Yeah. Ohio seems like a pretty decent market for that.
yeah, so it goes.
So
If you
I
move to
found
Ohio,
out.
we'll have to meet up from time to time. I go out there once every couple months.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll let you know how everything goes. We're trying to figure it all out. So still in the starting phase.
So I realized what happened. So when you donate or gift a membership,
Mhm.
I don't know whether there was the option to pick the lower tier level. Is it automatically picked the so there's the someday, which is I think the $2.99, and then the but not today $4.99 level. It only gave me the $4.99 level. So I was almost about to text Dion and say, hey, looks like the prices have changed. But maybe that's simply a YouTube thing where it's just like, you're going to gift this, then you're going to gift the, whatever the highest tier level is. So I learned something new. Interestingly, it
good to
didn't
know.
seem to be like that before, though. I think it was like, I used to be able to do the $2.99 ones, and I think I was able to do like 3 or 4 of them or something like that. Because I'm like, it's like $10-12, something small.
Mhm.
But I think when I saw the price adjustment, it just kind of like, oh, that's a little off-putting, but
Sounds like
okay.
you need to start reading the fine print.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with it, but I was just like, I told Dion, I'd do a little bit of digging and maybe that's what it was, but it just seemed so weird. Like maybe there is some sort of way to be able to adjust it again, or maybe I did something, but I'll look a little bit further into it. But I just thought that was so weird though. So, but interesting food for thought if anybody wants to gift a membership so we have more fun on the members only lives.
Yeah, well, Curtis talked me into it, so I'm gonna be joining you guys for the next round. So yeah,
good deal. Yeah,
nice.
Yeah,
they've looked at some pretty good deals. I don't know if who was that was looking at the duplex in Washington with him last time. It's been like 3 weeks.
Oh, I thought you were talking about yesterday. 3 weeks ago.
I don't think he ended up getting it, but he's been looking in that market. I can't remember his name, but yeah, it's good practice.
I think Curtis, maybe.
Oh,
Or
it's
no?
Curtis.
Not Curtis.
No,
No.
no, it wasn't Curtis. He was on here like, oh goodness gracious.
This
Wasn't
one's
he like out of Hawaii and was looking to invest in Washington?
No, I think he lives in Washington also.
Not Ken.
Kenny?
Maybe?
Ken, yeah, that's it.
Long hair?
Ken.
Yeah, long hair.
Ken, yeah, there you go.
Okay. Yeah, Ken.
Yeah.
It's I think it's Rockstar Ken. He's
Okay.
part of a band.
Oh.
Huh. That's cool.
Yeah, he's part of the band.
So you are there. I thought you weren't here with us.
I thought Michelle was
Um,
working.
Yeah, well, so I was working for a little bit, but it's my brother's birthday. I didn't want to hang up, but we did go like back, to the dining room and had dinner and cake and stuff, and then I'm back. But I didn't want to hang up because I wanted to come back and chat with you guys. Curtis actually gave me a lead today for a duplex.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. So he sent me a message that he was at a class and a real estate agent that it's kind of legendary here in Washington. He has gotten a name for kicking squatters out and doing kind of like things his own way. And anyway, I met him last year, or not last year, early this year when I was doing my 1031, and he had given me an off-market fourplex, but the area just didn't work out. And then Curtis asked me today, "Hey, do you know Jesse Lee?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." He goes, "Well, you might want to reach out to him because he has a duplex that is coming on the market, and it's $455. So that is a really reasonable price. That's the price I paid just about for the duplex that I bought 2 years ago. So depending on the what the how much work it needs, I may go for that because this is gonna go public, right? Yeah, this is gonna go public. It'll be a little farther than I want to be, but I do want to move into it for a little bit and see how long I can live there.
Yeah. Do you know if
on
it's
one of the sides.
if how many bedrooms they are and stuff like that?
No, he didn't have any details, so we'll see. Because if it's 455, it could be a 1 on each side, and that price is. I wouldn't go for it.
Yeah.
But if it's at least a 2-1, I probably will. But I did see another one today. There was actually 3 bedrooms, which I may go for, but I don't know. Every time I join the call, I keep going back and forth. Like I get excited because I see everybody kind of buy properties, and I'm like, I'm envious. I want to be that. I want to buy a property too. The problem, and I think I mentioned it last time, the problem is that if I do buy a property, I don't want to just do a 5%. I want to avoid PMI. And if I was to do that, it'd be 20%. And I think I would exhaust all my cash. Plus plus getting a loan from my 401k. So I'd probably get the full 50K from the 401k and the rest pay with my cash, but it would probably use up everything I have. So I worry about not having cash, even though I got a HELOC for anything that comes up. But I'm like, maybe not, maybe I'll wait. I'm starting to plan on the 2 duplexes that I bought for the 1031. I'm starting to plan doing the fixes, because up to now I had only done, like, I replaced the gutters because I got a really good deal for them, and we did patio covers on one of the units, on one of the properties on the both units, because we had the material, so we just figure we use it instead of keeping it stacked here. But we haven't really done any of the stuff that was on the inspection list, which were just like maintenance things, because the 2 duplexes, the 2 properties just didn't, the old owner just didn't keep up. Both of the owners didn't keep up with the maintenance. So I'm starting to, I got to start doing that. And I don't know I'm going to probably spend quite a bit of money, but I was actually waiting, thinking that if the economy slows down, then I may find some people that are wanting to work and, not trying to pay them any less, but maybe I'll get a better deal then. These things are just so expensive here. So I'm thinking, like, I'll do the fixes and then hopefully see what money I have left, and that would feel a little more comfortable, kind of exhausting all the reserves for now, but we'll see.
So,
I want to be like you guys. Yes.
Hey, Michelle. Michelle, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Anna.
Yeah. So I talked to Spencer, and Spencer is a lender, everybody. He said, if you're gonna put less than 20%, right now the FHA rate is like a 1.5% lower than the conventional, and then he expects like most, the rate's gonna go down in the next few years, which we think probably, I don't know, but then you can refinance everything to conventional at that point. But anyhow, yeah, we talked about, because I can't put 20% down when I buy right at this very moment. And he said that, so we talked about the pros and cons of things like that. So that was kind of interesting. And then also pulling a HELOC and then use that one toward the down payment. So we can do 20%. But at the same time, if you're going to buy at the conventional, less than, he said, if I put 20% down, then rate buy down options and then all that sort of thing is going to be available. But if it is less than 20%, it looks like his company has a limited, I guess, the products or the options for purchasing when it comes to rate buy down, something like that.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I feel the same with Oma. Yeah. But I'm gonna wait now.
You ended up thinking that you're gonna wait.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna, I really, really like that property because of the location, but it doesn't have the elements that I want. So I'm gonna get back to the course, my original plan I'm gonna stabilize my properties and then I'm gonna start looking for the new one. Definitely this time I'm gonna pull a HELOC and then use that.
Yeah. Yeah. I know I missed the call last week that was talking about with the mortgage broker. I don't know if you, I have not gone to hear the recording.
You haven't?
I know I haven't.
Oh
I know
my
I haven't done my
goodness.
homework.
All that time and trouble and all the learning I did to get the video out, and you haven't seen it.
I am going to watch it now.
Well,
I will watch.
Mikey and I did a recap for the video, so you might just watch the recap. You'll get all the highlights.
I did do that one. I did do that one. So now it motivated me to watch the full video, but I haven't done it. So
Yeah, no, and that guy, you know, Brian has been really, really awesome. Chester's working with him also. Mikey has gotten information for him to prepare for his next purchase. I just talked to him today, but he's super helpful. And I was telling him, you know, because he called me yesterday and he was telling me, giving me some information about things that might help us in the future with our situation, you know, because when Cynthia's finished working, we'll have to rely on the rental income to qualify for anything else we want to buy. And he had he was talking about options, and I told him, you know, and he apologized for like kind of clouding my head with these thoughts, but I told him that kind of information is so valuable for us, right? Because maybe we don't need it today, but at least in the future we know it's an option, and we'll be able to make better decisions. It's kind of, I gave him the example, like, you know, if Cynthia and I are buying properties all these years with conventional loans and we didn't know DSCR was a thing, and then in 10 years we find out, oh, there's a DSCR, you know, how much further along we could have gotten if we knew that in the first place. So he's that kind of a guy. If you ever want to just, you know, just tell him the old guy sent you, and he'll give you the red carpet treatment.
yeah, I will. Yeah, because I know the lender that Anna was talking about, Spencer, is the one that Dion has been using for the last couple of years, and so he gave me that lead, and we'll watch Dion's videos, and he says he chops the lenders, right? So he gets the first one, and then he goes and finds out if another lender can give him a better price, and then he brings it to the first one to see if he'll match it. I feel so bad doing that, but maybe it won't be a bad thing, because like really, I mean, so I have the 3 properties, right? So the first one, I sort of did that, but it wasn't on purpose. I started working with a guy, and he basically said, I see that all your bank statements are with this. There's a BCU credit union, is a Boeing credit union, and he said they have an awesome product right now that I cannot match, and you should go talk to them. And so I was like, "What? You don't want my business? Like, you know what?" I'm like, "Is my credit that bad?" And he's like, "No. You're good. It's just they would do better for you." And historically, I have not been able to get anything from them because the credit unions are very, especially this one. I don't know. I haven't worked with any other one, but my experience with this one is that they're very conservative, and my credit, because of everything that happened in 2006 and DTI and all that, had always been kind of low. So I couldn't get a loan from them for the longest time. And I was able to refinance with them about 3 or 4 years ago, my house. And so I was like, I never think about going back to them because I think that they're going to say no. And it actually worked out. So by chance, I ended up shopping that one, I guess. But then for the for the 1031, I didn't feel like shopping because I felt bad that at 8 p.m. I would put in an offer and there was my agent sending him an email. Can we get a pre-approval for this much? And then the next morning, can you change it? And then an hour later, can you make it this much? And can you make it that much? And I'm not going to say I did more than 10 offers, but maybe, close. And it was Saturday, Sunday, evenings, anytime. I didn't want to shop it. I just felt really bad after all that work to come back to him and say, hey, someone else. I just really felt bad. But this time I think it's more, there's more time. I'm not gonna be rushing. So I think I may go ahead and go to him, but then still shop it, see who I can get a better rate from. So maybe I'll go to Brian and shop it with someone else. I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to ask, and I don't think Brian's the kind of person that would, feel bad or hold it against you if he knew you were just checking, you wanted to check another source and stuff like that. And Mikey and I were also talking about that fact about shopping around or checking with different lenders. Since I found someone that I think is giving us really great service, I don't care to check anywhere else. If I found someone that's going to give us a better price on one thing or another, is it really going to be that much of a difference? I don't know, but
Right.
yeah, we're going to stick with him.
Right. Or maybe, yeah.
And the thing too, when you watch the video, he talks about like if you close a loan with him and then you do a refinance, since you're a repeat customer, typically they won't charge you for the refi.
Oh, wow.
That kind of
Okay.
thing, So or if they do have to charge you, it's not like the full price. So that was nice to know too.
Yeah. That's
Well,
pretty cool.
I was shopping because this time I want to buy a primary, so it kind of opens up different lenders. Like I can go to the credit union or something, and I was shopping around the neighborhood, and Twin Star Credit Union told me that so I knew I was going to recast the loan later on. So I asked if they have a product for the primary that's going to allow recast, and then what kind of terms that they have for the recasting. And then they said their fee is $250 to do the recasting, and then they don't really have any specific time period when you have to recast. I know there are some, financial institutions that require you to do it immediately or within some years or something like that, but they didn't have any. Also, they said they didn't have any specific amount that they require to do the recasting. And I found that one interesting because the last time I did the recasting with the Trustmark Bank, they had it was pretty strict, and also the fee was $500 instead of $250. So if you know your financial plan, what you're going to do with the property, you can you can start shopping for the lender who's going to allow you to do whatever too. So anyhow.
Anna, when
That's
you
very
did
interesting.
I'm sorry, Michelle. When you
No,
did
I was just saying that it's okay. I'm gonna mute myself.
I was going to ask Anna, when you did the recast, like Dion has mentioned, sometimes they'll make you put a lump sum down, like $10,000 or something like that.
So recast. What is it?
I was just asking, did you need to do that when you recast?
So recast means you are putting more money towards the principal. And then, so that's like you can call it down payment, I guess. So you are kind of delayed the down payment right there. And they will re-amortize your loan with everything else the same. So that means it's gonna lower your mortgage rate, the mortgage amount lowered. You're gonna lower your mortgage amount. Everything else the same. So when you do the refinance, you are gonna wait for the rates to be lowered, and then you pretty much, I don't know how much is, but depending on the amount of the money that you are, you owe, it'll be like $5,000 or $10,000. It's a lot of money, right? But recasting is simply you are putting a lot of money into the down payment, and then the bank that I did the recast required $10,000 or over. I mean, you want to do that to make a difference, so that why you spend the money for the fee. But I did the recasting because fee is a lot cheaper than doing a refinance, and then I got my mortgage from 700, I think it was $750 to 400, less than 500, $470 or something per month. That increased my cash flow by $300. So that was the whole reason why I wanted to do that. And then I kept my I think it was a 6.7% interest rate, and I was in that's all it was. So by buying a primary that I don't have enough down payment to make it 20%, I can just go ahead and put 10% down and buy it now. And then as soon as I get the next 10% amount of the down payment that I didn't have, I can just go ahead and have that money saved up and then recast. And then I can get rid of the PMI and then lower the mortgage at the same time at that point. It's like, I mean, I would probably wait if I had a lot of time, like I'm 10 years younger or something. I would probably wait till, I have enough money to buy. But that's just another way I was thinking. So when I started to look for my primary loan, I asked this question, what is your restriction for that recasting? Because I knew I was going to do that. So that's, something to share. I mean, if you have other ideas, let me know, or maybe my idea is not a good one. I don't know, but that's one of the things that I was thinking.
Yeah, because we've thought about that too, and as a strategy for us in the future. Did you, on the loan that you did the recast on, how long had you had the loan already?
Let's see. That was pretty quick, less than a year, I think. But the bank doesn't have any restriction. They told me that I can recast anytime. But I was also aware that some other banks, they have more strict rules. Every bank has a different rule. And but my bank was pretty, there's no early payment penalty or anything like that. And they were very open. But their fee was $500 to do the recast. And then it had to be greater than $10,000 for each recast that we're gonna do. But the Twin Star Credit Union here in my neighborhood, they said no, there's no restriction. The fee is $250. It's like, yeah, why do I pay extra toward the principal every month? Instead, just gonna keep them, just put down just every time as I go. If I have a lump sum that lowers the mortgage payment each time, I mean, I like that better than paying off because I'm not gonna pay off the debt, So I don't care if it's gonna shorten by 5 years or I don't know 10 years or I will keep it, but I'd like to have a lower mortgage so that you know, kind of protects me in case of prolonged vacancy or something that I have to carry. Because I'm gonna have 4 vacancies this year, and just to fill the third one more coming. So it's becoming a little bit realistic in the horizon. So that's what I was thinking, to buy the next one.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's a big difference. You know, since you only had the loan for a year, it doesn't seem like that much principal had been paid down, and just putting 10,000 down to do the recast, that's a big difference. That was close to
Oh,
300.
no, I put more than that. I put more than 10,000. Yeah,
Okay.
but the house itself, you know, in Alabama is like, mine was $160,000 house, and so, you know, saving $20,000, $30,000, you know, to put it's not that, but it does make a significant difference in the mortgage. But if the house is very expensive, that may be a little bit more difficult. But it works, so you just need to do the math. What would work the best? Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Hey Frank, I got a off the topic question for you.
Yeah. Mhm.
Have you ever used a paint sprayer?
Several.
I bought one and I haven't tried it out yet. How do you clean it when you're done?
What kind did you buy?
I'm not positive. It was give me a few minutes. I'll have to look on Lowe's to see which one it is.
Okay. Yeah, it depends what you're spraying through it. If you're just spraying a latex paint, water-based paint, typically, you know, when you're done spraying, you get all of the paint out of the gun or whatever is holding the paint, and then run water through it a few times and spray it through it a few times. Usually, because I have a couple. I have one that's an electric spray gun that has a cup attached to it, and that one's simple. You just put the paint in the cup, you spray your project, and then when you're done, you pour the paint out of the cup, put water in it, you know, shake it around, spray it through the gun a few times until the water's coming out clear. And then you might want to take usually they'll sell you a little cleaning brushes with the gun. You just, you know, just brush the tips and take the tip apart and make sure all the paint's out from where the spray tip is, things like that. If it's they have cup guns, which are used with air compressors. It's kind of the same thing, except it's hooked to an air compressor that's what sprays the paint through it. And most of the paints today are water-based, so it's pretty easy to clean them. Back in the day, we used to use a lot of oil-based paints, so you'd have to clean them with paint thinner and stuff like that.
So I can just pull it apart and use brushes and water and stuff.
Yeah, what are you going to be painting, the doors and stuff?
I was just kind of thinking ahead whenever I go to paint the whole unit. I was going to shoot Kilsies at first, and then I was going to clean it up and stuff. And then I was going to shoot a water-based paint on the walls and stuff.
Yeah, on the kills, you're going to use a water-based product?
On top of the kills, there's a certain primer you have to use to help it adhere, since Kilsies is oil-based.
Oh, okay. So if you're going to use the kills oil-based, then that's a pain. To me, it's a pain because you got to clean it with paint thinner. It takes quite a bit of paint thinner to get the gun clean, and then sometimes it's hard to dispose of the paint thinner. Over here, we have to take it to a hazardous waste station to have them take the paint thinner.
I'll just take it to I have a lot of friends that are in the auto body industry. I'll just take it to their place and dump
Yeah.
it in their containers.
Yeah, that'll work. And you have to take, I would say you have to take special care cleaning after you're done using oil-based products. Because they're going to stick to the gun more so than a water-based paint will. So you're going to want to make sure that thing's super clean before you switch over to the latex paint.
Do you think I should just save myself a lot of headache and just roll all of that before shooting and just shoot the water-based paint?
Personally, I would. I don't like running any oil-based products through my guns.
Or here's a second thought. I got a auto body gun I forgot about that uses an air compressor. That's kind
Right.
of on its last leg.
Mm-hmm.
If I use that, I probably wouldn't even bother cleaning it. I would just throw it away afterwards.
Yeah, it's going to take quite a few cups full to paint a whole room, but that's
I mean, if I'm going to throw the gun away afterwards, I'm not really too worried about it.
yeah. But I mean the cup that holds the paint is so small, it's going to take you several cupfuls to get the room painted.
Okay.
But I would do that. I would use the old gun for the oil and then use your new gun for the water base.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Okay, guys, anything else? Nope. I'm not in a rush.
I got something.
Yeah.
I forgot to tell you guys, the knob and tube in my place,
Uh-huh.
it's not as in depth of a project as it looks like it was going to be in the video.
Oh, good. What happened? What changed?
They have knob and tube that came out of the fuse box, and it's in the whole basement and stuff. And there was one run of it, but when the electrician started to pull the first light or the first electrical outlet, he noticed that it was whatever came two wires after. What was it? It's still old wiring, but it's not knob and tube, and it's not the thing that was after it.
Okay.
So it was that. So then he went downstairs and he saw that there's a junction box of some sort. He said that it's illegal and it has to be redone, but he said the knob and tube ends there.
Oh,
so the only
good.
thing we have to rerun is the lights in the upstairs, in which he might just after I do the drop ceiling, just run a line down to connect to the wire in one of the electrical outlets and just drop new lines down to all the switches.
Oh, great. Yeah, that's good news. Were you going to say something earlier, Mikey? Are you there now?
I'm here.
Okay, good night. We're leaving.
Hey Chester, are you gonna go on Dion's channel?
What do you mean as far as like once the property closes or?
No, in the
He
live.
challenged you.
He asked
Yeah.
you. He said, let's go on together and do a live.
Oh, yeah, I think that was because like the whole comment about like, the remark about adding the word question or whatever. It was like I was sitting there thinking, I was like, oh well, he's obviously gonna see the question mark. So it's like I'm thinking, oh, it's redundant, but like it because there was such a huge lag between like when he first addressed it and or like by the time like the easiest way to kind of describe it is like there had been a little bit of time after, we had finally figured out, okay, yes, this actually is something that he wants, even though I didn't like think to like ask him ahead of time. Long story short, that delay and it kept going and going and going for a little while. It was like, okay, by the time Dion had caught up to it, we had already figured out, oh, okay, got it, and then moved on. So that's where that just kept going and going for a while. So,
You should totally do it. Be Dion's all-nighter hider.
I mean, I wouldn't mind. I'll be honest, I wouldn't mind as long as I just know what it is that I'm doing, like, whatever topic or whatnot. Because I mean, outside of the property closing, I have no idea what I would like discuss. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind. I'll be honest. Like, seems
You've
like
done
it
a
would
ton
be
of
cool.
research though. So
You said, what was the last part you said?
oh no, sorry,
Harrison?
you've just done a ton of research. I mean, there's you'd have plenty to talk about. I mean, it
Yeah.
creates me as my first live to join. So you're
Yeah.
giving motivation here, Chester. I like this.
Yeah. Yeah. So, whatever topic that comes up, it'll be, I think it'll be cool.
Yeah, and
it'll be,
you're from the beginning. You're a member from the very beginning. So
yeah, that's true. The very first live I do remember way, way back when. Yeah. Holy cow.
How long has he been doing lives and stuff?
It's been a year and a half, maybe 2 years.
I
Yeah,
think
that's
more than
crazy.
that.
Has it been longer, you think?
Yeah, I found him in a live before buying my duplex, and the first one, and I bought it August 15, 2022. And I think he had been doing it for a year by then when I found him.
Interesting. So it might be 3 years. That's crazy.
I think he said in his last one, or maybe I don't know. I download a couple at a time and listen to him at work. But I remember him saying like 3 or 4 years because he was at 140 something.
Wow, it really has been that long. Wow, time flies. Holy cow, time
so
really flies.
his first graduating class would be 2031.
2031. That's what he said?
Or when did he start his channel? Was it 2021?
If he started in 2021, then yeah, it would be 2031. Yeah.
That'd be the first class. Oh.
Wow.
Here, I'll look it up. You guys got me curious.
So based on what I'm seeing, the last live was 131, and he does one every week, and there's 52. Am I saying it this right? 52 weeks.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So 2.5 years. Seems
Wow.
like.
Holy cow.
Wow.
If
Doesn't
my
seem like it.
math
Time has
works.
just flown. Yeah, it just seems like
Yeah.
time has flown. Wow.
Yeah. So we're not, I mean, I don't know. When did you start listening to him, Chester?
The very first one. The very
Oh,
first.
really?
Yeah.
2.5 years ago.
They had
Goodness
YouTube back then?
gracious.
We still couldn't drink, but they had YouTube.
I was too young to be able to make commentary on that. I had to be over 18 at that point, so
So just a fun fact, Dion's very first video was the 89K in bad debt. It was posted on January 5th, 2021.
wow.
That was his very, very first video.
So that's
Goodness
more
gracious.
than 2.5 years.
Yeah, that's
Well,
3
that's
years.
that's just all his videos.
Yeah.
He looks so weird without facial hair. I'm glad he grew his facial hair.
It's probably the whole it's across the board for the military, but like, definitely a big thing amongst Marines for sure. Like I had was it the last Friday of July, one of my friends had retired from the Marine Corps. And at his retirement ceremony, there was a retired master gunnery sergeant, and that's like basically one of the highest, enlisted levels in the Marine Corps. But he had retired 2 years earlier. This dude had a full beard, full beard. Like he was just like, yeah, I'm living the life now, man. And so I was just like, hey, look, I don't blame you at all. But yeah, it's like night and day once you get out of the mindset, I'd say, of being in like um I don't know if it's the same for law enforcement, but I would imagine, there's probably some standards, but yeah, it's like night and day. So like all of this, like, you know, and we're talking like what, 10, 15 years ago when I got out of the Navy. Like, yeah, nah, we had to be 100% clean. Well, you could have a mustache, but you had to be, clean shaven. So yeah, that's crazy. I can't even picture Dion without, mustache and a beard now. That's so crazy. That's so long ago.
His first live stream I looked up is October 19th of 2021.
Wow.
If you ever get
There
the
you go.
chance, speaking about people that were, served, how they let things grow or go, check out
Mhm.
Bob Ross and what he looked like when he was in the armed
Mhm.
forces.
Okay. Bob Ross. All right, I'll check that out.
The afro wasn't his idea. It was the TV or personnel, whoever it was.
Oh, okay, interesting.
He
And
actually
he
he
was
actually didn't enjoy getting perms.
so what? And he was that? Oh goodness gracious! What channel was that? Where he was always doing all of the painting?
PBS.
BBC?
PBS.
PBS,
Yeah,
right?
there
Yeah,
you go.
PBS.
PBS. Yeah. So he was always doing the paint, and he freaking masterpieces in like, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 minutes.
Mhm.
Like it was amazing. I was
Yeah.
like floored and he would walk you through like, and then we're gonna, add a little bit of, you know,
Happy
let's do a little
trees
bit of
over
like light
here.
blue. Yeah, and it was and then just like you're literally watching him walk you through a literal masterpiece. I'm like it was the most amazing thing ever.
Mhm.
So yeah, definitely that's cool stuff. That's
I'm
really
almost
cool.
positive. Almost positive my Cynthia wouldn't watch it this far in, so I'll share you guys a story. But
Mhm.
there's one time we were watching Bob Ross because we couldn't sleep, and I walked away to go to the bathroom. I came back, and 20 minutes later, I thought she fast forwarded, and she's like, "No, it's the same episode." I was like, "What? There's no way that he did this whole thing." And it was like some crazy episode where he actually did the same picture on a larger canvas 4 times, one for each season, overlapping and stuff. And I was just like, what? And then at the
What?
very end, it looked like he was looking through a window at the 4 seasons of this picture of a picture within a picture.
That is
That's awesome.
insane.
Whoa.
Wow. That is insane. That is absolutely insane. Wow. Oh
Yeah.
gosh. What was the other guy? Justin Wilson. Does anybody remember Justin Wilson?
Never heard.
No.
So he used to do the cooking show. He was like, I think he was from Louisiana. He was also on PBS. I want to say it was PBS. It might have been no, it couldn't have been regional because he was from Louisiana. So I want to say it was also on PBS, but he had um his show was all about Southern cooking, and it was just like he would just like, you know, uh, what is it called? Like the boil, what is it? Crab boil or things like that. And like it was just like all kinds of different stuff. Like it was just fascinating watching him grow up. It was him, Bob Ross, um, oh gosh. Mr. Rogers. So like
Yep.
so I'm basically kind of dating myself at this point, like, early mid 80s. Like, but they were all like amazing to watch. Like
Yeah.
that to me was like, quality television, So
At
actually,
the since I'm in Pittsburgh, they in the local museum here have a whole thing dedicated to Mr. Rogers, and they have one of the trolleys from they had size trolleys, so many of them made. There's
Mhm.
one, I want to say it's Idlewild or something like that, or I could be wrong, it could be somewhere else. But they have one of the, like the so many trolleys in the museum that you can step on and hit the little bell and stuff and all kinds of.
wow, that's pretty
That's
cool.
awesome.
That is cool stuff.
That's really
Th-
cool.
They had some of the puppets too.
Oh, nice.
I think we're drifting, kids.
Sorry.
If you want to, well, not tonight, but some night, you talk about dating yourself. I can bring you some old memories.
All right, Frank. Before
But
we
not-
hop off, give
but
us
not
give
today.
give us your best one, just as a
Mhm.
preview.
The one that always pops into mind when Dion, well, mostly Matt, and he's going through the list of who's attending his lives, saying hi to Wealth Building Journey, hi to Trade Better 99, hi to Frank, hi to Michelle. I used to watch Romper Room.
Oh wow,
Did you guys-
that's
did you ever see that?
definitely wow. My
Yeah.
goodness.
So you guys know? Do you know Harrison? Have you ever heard of Romper Room?
The name rings a bell, but I think I need to look at something to jog memory.
Yeah, check it out.
Uh,
So
yeah.
it was a classroom, and the teacher in the beginning, she used to look through her like magnifying glass, and
Yeah.
she would call out the kids. I see Frank, I see Harrison, I see Chester, I
Yeah.
see, and so that was an old one.
Yeah. All right, last one. Max Headroom.
Yes.
Well, that wasn't too long ago, but yeah,
No.
it was a while ago. But yeah, that was weird. That was so strange when it came out. It was like nothing we had ever seen.
Yeah,
at the
it
time,
was
yeah.
just like it was the weirdest thing, but it just was like it was. I don't know how better to describe it than shocking, and then at the same time, it like pulled you in, and you wanted to like see more of it for like whatever strange reason because it
Yeah.
was just so. It was so different. It was just like,
Mhm.
what in the world? But then it's like, but now I want to see more. And I think it was because of the guy's personality. I
Mhm.
think that's what it
Yeah.
was. It was like the combination of like all of the weird stuff going on behind him, plus his personality.
And all the new visual stuff, it was like the latest technology, and that was really
Yeah.
shocking. Yeah.
Yeah, especially for the 80s. So
Yeah.
if there's anybody who's watching, like as Dion calls it, in Futureland, like my goodness, yeah, go check out Romper Room, Max Headroom. Oh my gosh, wow.
Well, they'll
So-
probably say, I'm not joining their call.
Like, nope, I'm gonna stick right here on YouTube.
How long you been doing this?
Oh man, oh goodness,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's
Okay.
definitely good stuff.
Yeah. Well, now I'm a member on Dion, so Chester,
There we
we're
go.
gonna see you on that live now.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, we'll
There
look
we
forward to
go.
seeing you. And
Thanks,
so I
everyone.
guess we'll see you guys tomorrow on Matt's.
Yeah.
Is that tomorrow?
Tomorrow's
Thursday, yeah.
Thursday
Oh
at
my
6.
gosh.
Yeah.
So the phrase "every day is Blur's Day" really because I seriously
Yes.
was thinking that today was Tuesday, and I was like, "What are you talking about? Tomorrow's Wednesday." But of course,
Yeah.
we have the accountability call on Wednesday. So yeah,
Yeah, cool. Well, we'll
clearly
catch
and
you there.
obviously, it's time for me to get some sleep.
Thank you guys.
Thank
All
you,
right,
Frank.
see
Thank
you
you,
soon.
everyone.
Alrighty,
See ya.
Bye.
thanks everybody.
Good night, everybody. Thanks, Frank.
See ya.
Alrighty, guys. Alrighty.
Good night.